So, we'll call the select board meeting for December 9th. Order. Well, pledge of allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Alright, so we do the laws, we can motion to open the regular meeting.
So moved. Second.
All the day thing. Alright. The thing we'll do is public comment, answer the public to comment on things that aren't on tonight's agenda. Act on them tonight, but we can certainly discuss them in a little bit and see them on a future meeting agenda. Bruce
Galucci. I'm wondering where we're at with the RFP for attorneys. You guys had decided to send it out, and we haven't seen anything in the last 2 meetings, supposed to be 3 meetings.
We talked about that because we went back to Phil and told Phil that we would stay within the 15,000 annually. So to reduce that, and decided that we would go to MMA legal more than going to Phil directly. That was discussed at the budget.
it was
meeting.
discussed.
Yeah.
Terrible. Actually acted on it, so it never came back to the board during our meeting, but.
So the total expense will be under 15,000, so it doesn't have to
Right,
go up.
doesn't have to go. So then we talked about the longevity of the relationship and the knowledge that Phil's office has with the town.
So I guess. So everybody, all the other businesses in this town that do work for the town have to go out to RFP. Every year or every 3 years, it goes out to RFP. And I think it's to the point that I think even our fuel, everything, I think our attorney needs to go out to RFP regardless. You know, it's just good business. You know, it may come back to the same attorney fee, but it's just gonna keep them honest and keep them their pencil sharp on the bills.
Probably.
Can I ask if it's staying under the 15,000, what is the monthly amount going to be? Cause it makes me think of when Lee Bryan used to be our attorney, one of the things that Lee said was. That the town manager needs to remember that we're not friends, so every time they pick up the phone, I'm charging them. So we noticed at that time they were creeping up, and that was how we were able to keep that in check, so if it's gonna be under 15,000, what's the monthly amount? And is there something in writing that we have, so we have backup for that information?
I believe it's 12:45. 12:45.
And
12:45 would be the 15 though.
And then that's come out in writing and what for the.
I do have that in email from Phil.
Okay.
We just bring that back on future
Yeah,
agendas so we can
absolutely.
actually physically discuss it, have everything in writing. So everybody talk about whether we still want to do forward and make a final decision.
Will do.
Anybody else got anything on that?
I would just like to, again, give credit where credit's due, and a big thank you, especially to Kristen and the rec department and facilities for another successful Christmas stroll, getting it organized and pulled together. And when those things happen, there was a huge amount of community support that was for the town, and it was a big success, and we should be thanking the people who did that. So thank you.
Just wanna bounce back on that attorney thing, you might wanna have it be 1249, because 1250 times 12 is 15,000, which then kicked you to another.
It was 12:45, I
1249,
believe.
okay.
Yeah.
Great. Anything else? Alright, so we are going to review and approve minutes from November 18th. Motion, but
Move that we accept the minutes.
Second, and
Any discussion on the minutes?
I didn't see anything that looked okay to me. No.
You're ready.
I have something there.
All right.
Melanie Joel. During the last meeting, during the town manager's minutes. A statement was made that said, the board may want to consider putting an RFP out for winter maintenance or snow plowing services as the current contract ends in May of 27. When I reviewed the meeting minutes for tonight, there was quite a lengthy conversation around that piece, and yet none of it shows up anywhere in the minutes. So I want to be clear, and I'll stand up so that everyone can hear me, because I know my voice doesn't project very well. How this was phrased was, if our current contractor does not want to continue, it will take some time to find a new provider of those services. And I'm guessing Cummins will still want to continue, but well, we should later have something of that. The way it comes across, I printed out the transcript from the meeting. It says if we don't, it was just a 3-year contract. Now, when they came and met with us last time, he did indicate that he wanted a longer one to buy more equipment. But I double checked it and even sent it over to Phil for legalities, and so I can instead, we'll have to RFP. So I raised my hand and was called on, and I said, huh. So we have never pushed out a year into a contract to look potentially to the next contract. And I would hope for them to think that we're attempting to push them out so that we could take over in some sort of fashion. So it would make more sense to maybe put that RFP out next year and give them a chance to have 2 years under their belt before we put out an RFP when they have accepted a 3-year contract. Dan then said, I honestly, in my personal opinion, I would want to put it out till spring at the end of the next season. Now, we all know if Dan doesn't re-up on the board in June or July, that his take is not necessarily going to be taken into effect, and that the rest of the board can do whatever they wanted to and still push that RFP forward. So Carol said, anyway, my concern is when we're looking at what we were going to do, if we couldn't find a contractor, it takes up to 2 years to get the equipment. But if we had the money in our grubby little hands to order it, that to me said right then, this isn't about Cummings, this is about the town trying to push forward with their own public works department, because we have this little pot of money that's still left from the $500,000. And so what I got from that was, hey, if we push this RFP out, number one, we didn't even notice the contractor that we were gonna even be discussing this at the last meeting. Saying that if we get the money in our grubby little hands that we can purchase our own equipment, that says to me, we're not looking to validate the contract that we already had. So I continued forward with that. Said if we wait until spring, that, well, and then it was, so these folks came before the board. And that's what they were asking. This is what the contractor wanted. So I reiterated that I thought Cummins and Sons had gone way above and beyond what we had asked of them. And I can detail that out, but if anybody wanted to watch the meeting or actually read the transcript, you would see that they've done every single thing that we've asked them to do. So then I got from the board that this actually came from the contractor and they were looking for us to extend their contract, and that we looked into it, we couldn't do it that way, and we had to do a new RFP. So I said, well, if that's actually the case, then they came before you and specifically asked for you to essentially abruptly cancel their contract and put it out to a new RFP, then I would stand down. Well, after 4 or 5 days, I thought, that doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me. So I called the contractor. And he said, I did not do that, Melanie. I did not ask for that. When I was asked to meet with them, mind you, May of 2025. So I went back and watched that meeting, and he did in fact say, I don't know if this is possible, but if it's possible to extend my contract, that will help me for purchasing new equipment. And the board said, we'll look into that and get back to you. 7 months is way too long for that man to have waited for an answer. And then to slide into town manager's minutes, that we're gonna possibly put their contract out for a new bid is unacceptable. It is not how we do business in this town. It is going to give us a bad name, and people are not going to want to contract with us. So then I thought, you know what, I'm pretty sure that we put forward an article in 2023. That gives the board the authority to, number one, enter into multi-year contracts, and number two, extend existing contracts. If we deem them to be in the best interest of the town. So I went back to 2023, I went back to 2024, and it's also on the warrant for 2025, so we do have that authority. So to state that we don't have the authority to do that is patently wrong. I felt like I was lied to. I feel like the contractor is duped. If we're gonna discuss putting their contract out for an RFP 2 years in advance and not give them any sort of an inclination. I will say that Doug did stand up at that point and say, we're gonna do this, I would want for them to see it first. That, absolutely. But it shouldn't be being done, it shouldn't be being discussed, and it shouldn't even be on the table. They sat here in May and not only said, everybody extolled their virtues, we had 2 complaints the whole season. 2 complaints. And they said, we're looking to do this for the next 10 or 15 years. So for anybody up here to pretend the Cummings and Sons group does not want to continue their snow plowing contract is lying. And I'm not gonna sit back here as a citizen and watch that happen to contractors. Happened a couple weeks ago, it's happening again. You guys gotta stop. You've got to think about what you're doing. You can't allow yourself, board members, don't allow yourself to just go along with the others. Please do your own research. Something else that happened recently, this going back to that other contract.
Does this have to do more with the minute? Does this also have to do with the minutes?
But it's about the last meeting's minutes and the hazard trees that were taken down. So we also have a tree ordinance. And the only person in the town who can actually deem trees on town property as hazardous trees is the tree warden. The tree warden is Jason Stevens. So his job would have been to go take pictures of the hazardous trees. And then our tree contractor would then have removed the trees, they would have answered back to Jason, who then would have taken a picture of the final result. And then we have that for validation and justification in the town. We don't have that right now. So that's on the last meeting's minutes, but this is on this last one, so I apologize for digressing, but you guys gotta be paying attention and you gotta ask the hard questions. Don't just be swayed.
Anything else? Bruce?
Just kind of follow up on that, if that, we do have that article, and I thank Melanie for kind of reminding everybody that. If that's the case, and I think you guys as a board should probably sit down with the Cummins and Sons and take in, extend their contract if possible. They've done a great job and, they were the only contractor that did bid and they actually came in quite cheap. I know what it's costing other towns around us to have the plowing done and it's a lot more money than what we're paying, so I think if we have the opportunity to extend into their contracts, I think we should be doing it.
I totally agree. Said I haven't had a problem at all with them. Let's see if we can get that back, please.
I did send that over to Bill and Bill said we had no authority, that it would have to go back out to RF.
You have to double check that article, so.
So I probably would have sent the article along, like we said, like to send other stuff to him that would back that up, that article backs that.
I know, we do have a warrant article, I was just looking for it, that asks for permission to enter into multi-year contracts.
It's Article 15 in that one.
But the specific contract that they signed is only for 3 years, it doesn't have an option to extend it.
No, and none of our contracts do, except for the ones that we've added them into, like, waste management. So, and that's not how the warrant article reads. Article number 15 simply states that the board has the authority to extend existing contracts if they deem them to be in the best interest of the town. If you're in your book right there, well, it's Article 15 for one, the 2024 one. says, shall the town vote to authorize the board of
Yes, I do.
selectmen
Yeah.
to negotiate the board to enter into multi-year contracts on behalf of the town and to extend existing contracts that would be in the best interest of the town body.
We'll check into it small.
Thank you.
All right, we ready to vote on the minutes?
Mhm.
All right, all those in favor? 3, 4, 5, there it goes. Unfinished business. Fresh property tax exemption.
At the regular meeting of November 18th, the selectmen reviewed the request by the Union Church of Belgrade and information provided by the town's assessor for a tax exemption of a new parsonage. So from the minutes that you just approved, it says the board reviewed the request from the Union Church of Belgrade Lakes for a full property tax exemption for their new parsonage. The town's assessor's agent explained in a memo that state statute will allow an exemption up to 20,000 of assessed value for a parsonage. Audrey Koloff from Union Church presented their case for full exemption, highlighting that the new parsonage would be handicap accessible, energy efficient, and better serve their programs. This led to a discussion about the classification of church properties as commercial or residential. Chair Daniel Newman asked the town manager to provide the statute as referenced by the town's assessor and to send this information for legal review, as there are covenant restrictions as presented by resident Tom Dow. The board agreed to table the church tax exemption request until they could obtain more documentation and legal advice. So if you look at the information I've given to you from Phil, and so that very first sheet shows you, I just wanted to be clear on what he was sharing with us. So by main statute, the assessor's agent can reduce the taxable valuation of the parsonage by $20,000. The select board has no authority to go higher than that. The property owner can apply for other exemptions if they apply to the property. There's homestead veterans and those sorts of things. And I asked Bill to confirm my understanding, which you see, he did respond and say that that was correct.
All right, so with that back from the lawyer. What does the board? Wish to proceed?
I don't think we can reduce the valuation any lower than $20,000 or any higher. Reduce the valuation by $20,000. We can't increase that.
So we're just affirming what the assessor said.
Correct.
Yeah, but the assessor, it was confusing because in the notice from the assessor, it said if the board feels it's in the best interest in the town to consider something additional, you have the authority to do so. But for Phil, we don't. So I think we need to abide by what the attorney tells us.
Any other comments?
I just have a UV question. This is my first time seeing an issue like this. I'm curious if there's a procedure around conflicts, if there are people that are church members, if they, are involved in that decision, or if they aren't involved in the decision. I was just curious if we have a policy about that, because I've not seen this happen at the town before. So like if someone is, does my question make sense? So like if someone on the select board is part of the church, do they participate in this decision? Do they not? How does the town handle it?
They still have to under state law. The only reason you can basically recuse yourself is if you financially get something out of the decision.
You're only required to if you get something financially out of the decision, or?
Yeah, it's actually, if you go back and look at the laws, legally, you have to vote on everything unless you recused for a specific reason. So it's just, you can't decide, I just don't want to vote on it because like a part of the fire department or a part that has to do with physically making money on something or benefiting somebody, family or something.
Right, so I think, sorry, the other part of that is if you were to benefit personally, professionally, or financially. So if somebody lives in the village and the village does a whole bunch of improvements. Anybody who lives in the village who would stand for their property values to go get better because of these improvements should recuse themselves from voting on anything that has to do with improvements in the village. Because the best way to protect yourselves is if there's even the semblance that you may somehow benefit, that you should recuse yourself.
So that's the practice in my profession, that's why I was asking the question, but I didn't know if the town had a formal policy on that or how that was handled, so it sounds like.
Basically, a state statute.
States, yeah.
And then just what seems right. Sometimes we've all been like, I'm gonna recuse myself, and then you don't have to, but
Yes.
Yeah.
It was how we handled it in mine.
So, all those in favor of just sticking with what the assessor has,
Do we need to do this as
Do
a
I-
motion? As
Do
a
I
motion?
would do a motion.
Yeah.
I move that we affirm, the recommendation of the assessor and the attorney to allow an exemption of up to $20,000 of assessed value for the parcel.
right? All those in favor? 5-4, those against?
And I'll just say thank you for taking the time. We do appreciate it. Actually, we can give it consideration.
I mean, it's always worth looking at.
Still only 6 votes.
Thank you.
Next up is new business, committee appointments and resignations.
So I think Kathy, yes, Kathy McCelway is on Zoom tonight, so she's available. As being considered for the budget committee.
Okay, I move that we accept Kathy McAway as the committee, what are you calling it, associate committee associate, second associate?
Second alternate, was it?
Well, alternate, but I think we were trying to get all the language together, so I think we're calling associate, but associate or alternate, whatever it should be.
Whatever the term.
Yes.
Second,
All right, any discussion? Do we want to hear from?
Yeah, let's hear from Kathy.
Do you have any questions?
Just tell us a little bit about you and why you want to do it.
I'm a retired banker. I was a commercial lender for a long time, so I spent a lot of time looking at financials and audited financials and so forth while making loans. I live in Belgrade. I like it here. That's it. I guess that's why. It used to be, it was hard to find. I served on the school board for 2 separate terms and a partial term when I lived in Oakland. And it used to be sometimes hard to find people to serve on the committee, so I thought, well, I'd put my name in, and that's it.
good.
Thank you.
Yes, thank
Okay, thanks.
Appreciate your expertise and your willingness to serve.
So all those in favor? 5-4, 0 against. And you just have to stop in sometime and you sworn in.
She's still there. Kathy, if you'll stop in within a week or so and see how she'll get you sworn in.
Sorry, I have the audio is bad. I have to look at the closed caption, so thank you for asking me. I'll stop in and get sworn in.
All right, awesome. Thank you, Kathy.
Thanks.
Well, Wednesdays.
Just not necessary.
And leave it on the bottom, and I know when I'm zooming in, like I sat for a meeting with my hand up for 10 minutes, so it's not a problem. Is there something that's highlighted on the bottom? I just want to make sure if someone has their hand raised or
Well,
I don't see-
there's nothing there.
Is it the red thing that you're
Yeah.
seeing like for it in front of that?
Yeah, the second one there. No.
No, that's just, there's people in chat.
That's people in the chat.
So those chats are actually for us. So the chats are folks who are asking questions who want to be part of the meeting. So I've noticed we're missing chats and we're missing the folks' hands are raised. I don't know if there's a way to put them all on the site. Stand out, show them what money.
Well, the hand, when someone raises their hand, it goes to the top left.
It shows.
Shows on
the
the
ch-
screen.
Excuse me, the
When they
chats
use
the chats were just to help people to get their closed captions up. Because they couldn't hear the audio very well and someone had asked for closed caption. So I found it and let them do that. That's what the chats were about. They weren't part of the meeting really.
Typically chat time on most of the meetings, I know we were
Thank you,
doing
Chair.
it state. You had to put your hand up and then come on and speak. Chats, they use between each other. See what's not on. It's about-
Right, thank you guys. Happy holidays, you
Good
two.
to be seen, each being viewed.
Stop off more, so we'll see you more.
But I think for people who are on Zoom to understand that we see them best if they press the icon for the raised hand.
Yes.
As opposed to just raising their hand, if their video is up,
Correct.
because that way they go directly to the top left.
So I wonder maybe if in the beginning when we do the overview, because, when we started this Zoom stuff in 2020, you'd have the chats, folks could put questions in the chat, and then the chat would be read out loud.
That's super difficult for me to be able to monitor the chat and to be able to take minutes and work with the board during the meeting.
Right, that's why.
If we had somebody separate, that might be helpful, but it would be super difficult for me to do that.
That's what I thought, but that's what I'm saying, when I think it's just at the beginning, if you say anybody who's participating via Zoom. We don't always see the chat, but if you have something you want to contribute, raise your hand.
Right.
You may see that, may not.
Good suggestion.
All right, we have no reappointments, so we have resignations.
Move that we accept the resignation of Anthony Wilson from the Comprehensive Plan Oversight Committee.
So
All right, all those in favor? 4 5. Then we'll.
and we should send him a
Thank you.
notice.
Thank you.
And send him a notice because he did chair the Comprehensive Plan Committee for
And we
much of its tenure.
have one more resignation.
One more resignation. I move that we accept the resignation of Kim Hagan from the Senior Resources Committee.
Second.
All those in favor? 5-4-0 against, and again.
And again, send her the appropriate with regret and thank you.
Next, the new business is the employees holiday luncheon.
We respectfully request the board consider closing all facilities at 1 p.m. on Christmas Eve, Wednesday, December 24, and New Year's Eve, Wednesday, December 31. The hours for the transfer station on both days would be 8 a.m. to 1 p.m. in order to accommodate callers and residents. The board did approve closing of facilities at noon on Christmas Eve. That was 2024. We did not close early for New Year's. There was some concern raised at the November 18 board meeting from a resident concerning transfer station hours on these days, which has been resolved by Transfer Station Director Ken Skino. We also would like to request that the board consider closing facilities on Friday, December 19 from 11 to 1 for an employee holiday luncheon. The administration budget does have a line item, an expense line for food and water in an amount that would cover the food and other costs, paper plates, napkins, that sort of thing.
First,
Did we vote to authorize that money or do we just
No.
talk about it? Okay.
Just talk.
first.
Christmas Eve, I think is great. I think New Year's Eve should be, and then that the town should be open till 4 o'clock.
I think
Yeah, most other businesses
I like to
are.
stick the same way as last year, so.
Yeah, I have no problem with closing early Christmas Eve. I think
Yeah,
New Year's Eve.
that's.
If we say 4 o'clock, I think that only affects a couple. Would affect what Center for All Seasons closing at 4 instead of 5. 5 close, and it would be a little
And
earlier for the library.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mary,
Yeah, Mary.
Yeah, and I guess I missed it, Lorna, but on, because we are closed on December 31st, we actually do the closeout of the books. And so we would need to close on December 30th, early enough to close out those books. I'm not sure if we had taken that into consideration, but we have to close out the year.
We do, we have been, since I've been here, we've been closing at 11 to the public. So Tuesday, December 30th, we would need to close at 11 to close out books because we're not here on Wednesday.
Bruce.
Why can't they come in on Wednesday and close the books? That's only one day, one time a year. That's what most other businesses do.
We
So-
can do that.
So.
I mean, it's just, you guys have gotta go back and look at this 4-day week, either change a day or whatever. I mean, Thanksgiving week, we was open 2 days to the town. Every time it's a snow day, you know, we're down to 2 days a week or 3 days a week or 2.5 or 3.5 days a week. And it's not fair to the taxpayers and, you know, to lose out that time, you know, it's, you know, so you're gonna be open 2.5 days the week after Christmas. You'll be open Monday, half a day Tuesday, not even a half a day. And then open Friday. That's what that's what I'm
Talking
saying.
about New Year's week.
Yeah, New Year's week, yeah.
And we can come in on Wednesday and do a closeout of the books. We can do it. It will mean, and the extra time for employees. Just a FYI, I missed it and just want to give a heads up on it.
So if employees do come in that day, it would be time and a half? Or no, because they would,
Wait,
they wouldn't
No,
be.
it's regular time.
It would be
But
straight.
that- It would be overtime unless because of the holiday. I
It
don't know.
wouldn't be.
this is all basically work.
Okay, I move that we authorize $600 for the employee luncheon and that we close the facilities from 11 to 1
Let's do
PM.
them as two separate,
Holiday luncheon.
let's do them as two separate votes.
I was just doing luncheon.
Oh, I'm sorry, okay.
We authorized the
Sorry,
$600 and we agreed to close for those 2 hours so everyone can go to the luncheon together.
Okay, second.
All in favor?
Let's get the easy ones.
This is easy too.
Right, that's the easy one. And then I move that we close the facilities at 1 PM on Christmas Eve.
Dan, can I ask, Lorna said that Ken Scano had figured out the hours for the transfer station. Are we gotta know if those are gonna be different, because that's 2 Wednesdays that will.
It's in the packet, it's 8 to 1.
8 AM to 1 PM.
Except New Year's Eve, if they change, it'll be different.
No, this is just Christmas Eve. We're doing.
Right.
Let's just do Christmas Eve and get that voted on.
So we have a second?
Second.
All's in favor? 5-4-0 against.
Okay.
Now, New Year's Eve.
As long as there are no hiccups, it shouldn't be more than 2 to 3 hours maximum on Wednesday. And I'm willing to come in and work with Penny to do that closure.
So are you just gonna come in the morning and do it and get it done?
Yes, we would just come in the morning, first thing, do it and get it done. Sometimes if there's a hiccup, it might be a little bit longer. I don't anticipate it.
Okay. Yeah, so I mean, you don't have to worry about opening that one to the public, because they're not open that day only anyways.
Right.
Right.
So we have the overtime in the budget?
It wouldn't be overtime.
It would not be overtime.
It's because it's because of the
It's
vacation.
extra hours in a week, but it's straight done.
Overtime is over 40 workers.
Over 40, yeah, okay.
And there's a holiday that week. so-
There's a holiday that week, that's it, okay.
So. I mean, if Mary's all right with it, I don't have a problem with it, we're gonna wanna do it that way.
Okay.
Yeah.
So then Tuesday, the town office would be open for the whole regular,
No, what if?
Which is until,
Tuesday the 30th.
oh,
Tuesday, the 30th, normal hours.
Tuesday, the 30th, normal hours,
Right.
okay.
Because we were talking about closing
So
early.
now we're talking about Wednesday. And that affects the other departments,
And
if we do it.
just them coming in.
No, I-
No, I'm talking about the request to close Wednesday at
Oh.
1 PM. That's the other one that we need to discuss.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
Wednesday, New Year, no, Christmas Eve.
New Year's Eve, did Christmas
Okay,
Eve.
New Year's Eve.
So if anyone wants to make any adjustment on New Year's Eve.
I have no strong feelings about what the town decides to do. I don't understand why that would not be overtime if their holiday hours put them up to 40 hours and they're working on.
Holiday hours. don't-
Overtime is 40 worked.
Yeah.
Over
Just like
40
just
worked.
like you got a have you had a vacation day in your week?
Holiday is not worked.
Yeah, my pay is different,
Yeah.
but I just wanted to make sure that people are being paid.
Melanie.
I don't see Penny online. What if Penny's not available to come in New Year's Eve? Because she's already planned that that's her Wednesday off.
Penny is online. Penny's WHFMA. I'm all set.
Raise your hand.
Ah,
I see it.
Okay.
Some of the little ones up there.
I just would hate for us to say, I never loved it from them. Shall we ask her if she's home?
So
Good, so we just double check with Penny.
Penny, are you good to come in Wednesday, December 31, early in the morning to get the books closed?
It's something, is there in the chat? I can work. Oh, there's a message.
I can come in and work this in.
It is in the chat.
There we go.
I can come in on Wednesday, December 31. Thank you, Penny.
Okay. All right,
Couple of
so
hours.
let's vote on that part of the thing, and then we'll move on to the rest of the town for closing.
So which part are we voting on?
The town, the Wednesday coming in and closing out the books.
Oh, okay,
That doesn't need a vote.
that doesn't
that
need a
doesn't-
vote,
No.
all right. So I move we close town offices on New Year's Eve at 4 o'clock. Instead of
What did we?
5 or
that what we did
5:30.
Last year. What we did
Well,
last-
we didn't close
we
early
closed
last year.
Oh, last year.
No, it's Tuesday. That's what.
Yeah.
Oh my fucking word.
The facilities is already gone, so it won't affect facilities. It's Center for All Season Library and transfer station. They would close at 4 instead of, and adjust their hours around that. So that's my motion. You can vote it up or down, not do it.
Kristen, do you have?
We had already had the forethought to not have after school kids on that day because we were trying to keep our payroll at bay, so. We do not have kids on that day, so it doesn't affect us. That's been out to parents since August, so we're good.
And how will it affect, what is the transfer station?
Transfer station and
Library.
Library.
And library.
Library, I can't imagine you're gonna have a ton of people
No,
on New Year's Eve going to the library.
All right.
Jared is on, I think, isn't
Yeah, I think he is up on the right.
I don't know, the
We
lead
don't
key
know.
words, some are big and some are little, it drive me crazy.
is that Jared Bond?
Yeah, I see Jared.
Oh, yeah, Jared is there.
It'd be another Jared,
Right.
might not be Jared,
So really, it's transfer station, library.
yeah, and the library would be open from 2 to 6. So it's sort of silly for them to come in from 2 to 4 for 2 hours.
Maybe we ask them to come and work 12 to 4 instead of 2 to 4. I don't know.
Just shoot the
Those library hours are pretty
Well, transfer station hours are pretty
set too, yeah.
set too, so it's no
Okay,
different.
whatever.
Yeah, you're gonna have people turning around on Wednesday. going,
Yeah, you are, you got, I mean, you believe it or not, you probably will on Christmas Eve, but people should know that, but.
Right.
No.
I think we didn't do it last year. I say we just, instead of keep jumping around all the time,
But last year it was on the reason we didn't last year is because Christmas and New Year's Eve, Christmas Eve and New Year's Eve were on Tuesdays, not on
What difference
Wednesdays.
is
So
it, though? It's still a day during the week.
I know, but I'm just saying there's not a precedent because it was a different day.
I know historically we've closed.
Okay, so we, I mean,
So then.
if no one seconds my motion dies, which is totally fine.
Okay,
So,
what's your, wait, what's your?
no, my
motion?
motion was that we close at 4 o'clock on New Year's Eve.
Okay, and
but-
1 o'clock on.
That's already.
We've
Oh,
already
that's
done
already done.
Christmas
Sorry,
Eve.
that's already done.
It's just New Year's Eve. And it's fine if it wants to die, but we would have to adjust. If we're gonna go back to regular hours, Kenny would be open 11 to 7:30
Yeah,
or 7. So we need to adjust that or allow Kenny to adjust that if we're not gonna close early.
I'd say we just allow the library and the transfer station to adjust their hours for the day. You know,
It's fine.
Because
I-
the library, I don't think the library needs to be open until 6 or whatever, that night either.
Right.
They want to come in a little early, do some stuff that they need to get cleaned up and done, and they can get out a little early, just put it in.
Okay.
so
All
they
right.
just, so they decide, so the library and the transfer station
Just
just.
put in your normal amount of hours during the day.
What hours they're gonna be open to the public,
That
Okay.
would be good with me.
as long as they advertise it.
So we just need to start advertising now that we're adjusting those hours would be adjusted.
And so the library would normally be open for 4 hours from 2 to 6.
Right.
So would we expect the library to be open for 4 hours, and Jared can decide if he wants to be open at all?
So he's just gonna be open the normal hours,
And
and
we
they would
just-
be open on a regular day,
4 hours.
and just move it.
It's the end of the year. I'm sure there's some things he can clean up at the end of the year over there too.
And you want Kenny to close at 4?
That's what I'd say.
I'd be
I don't-
fine with them closing at 4. I don't want
Just
him,
adjust the hours.
Yeah.
he needs to
Well,
adjust the hours to accommodate.
Just like we're doing on the other day.
Yeah, we just need him to make sure
So we-
we start advertising.
Get the same time in.
I told
Right.
him once I
Yeah.
had something I email out first thing in the morning.
Okay,
They'll know.
okay.
We're not voting on that.
I don't think we can vote on it. They're keeping the same hours, just like adjust it. Right.
Okay.
Is special vacation.
So in 2023, the board offered employees the option to cash out 1 week, 40 hours of vacation time in the month of December. This helps to reduce the number of hours on the books while offering eligible employees the option to receive additional cash for the holidays. We respectfully request the board consider this one-time offer again. Below is a breakdown of costs by department for eligible employees. So it would be 4 departments: general government, facilities, public safety, and solid waste. And it's employees don't have to do it, but we do have some that are eligible who could if they so chose.
When we did it last time, did we have folks that,
We did have folks.
we did have
Yeah,
folks that took
we
it
did,
in?
yeah. I think we had 2.
And so the total would be about $11,000.
Right,
So
it comes out of their.
it comes out of their.
The personnel, wages, benefits.
Yeah,
And they all
and we
have,
have enough money in the
and they all
budget
have
to do
enough
it.
We do, yes, we do.
I move that we give employees the option to cash out a week of vacation time in the month of December.
Second.
2025. Second. Oh, sorry.
Okay, doesn't matter.
All right, any other discussion on that? Okay, all those in favor? I know it's not gonna be changing. Next is 250th anniversary celebration of the United States.
So Sharon had mentioned this at your last meeting. For consideration, the board may want to put together a small ad hoc committee of 4 to 5 residents, including Belgrade Historical Society members, interested citizens, and a select board member to work on planning events for the nation's 250th anniversary. The committee would bring ideas back to the select board for discussion and implementation.
This would be a quick turnaround committee because it's happening next summer.
Yeah. So Kristen McDowell, Parks and Rec, I'll chime in because the business group often has, we have planned the downtown 4th of July celebration, so I have been part of that. Sharon and I have talked about the 250th. Just to get an idea of this, it is, in my opinion, an additional committee is a quick turnaround. We already have the Historical Society working with the business group to plan some of these things. So the parade is all set. We already have an estimate for the fireworks. Last year's fireworks cost the business group $11,640. This year's proposal, if we go with the exact same show, is just over $14,000. So a bit of an increase. If you wanted to do something larger for 250th celebration, we would probably be looking at closer to 16 to 18,000. Typically fundraising starts for that in January, so it's on the agenda for the business group. In the last, as long as I've been part of the business group, the town has not given any money towards those fireworks, so that has all been sponsored by residents and businesses. We start bringing that money in January and February, and last year we were really pushed towards the end to make it happen. They are asking, we use the exact same person every year because we have to pull the permit for the barge, the fire marshal has to come, there's a lot of things involved with this. This year he's requesting that he approve that barge location in May. We know it will pass, but we do have to give a $5,000 deposit by May 1st. So we are in a crunch to take care of those things. I feel confident after the last business meeting, the business group is still very comfortable with planning a bigger celebration. And then if there are select board members or some residents who are interested, the business group meetings are public to residents as well. And then with Sharon's help, I think that, not that we don't want more people to help, but I'm not sure that it makes a lot of sense to try to turn around an ad hoc committee real quick, who's doing separate things from the 2 organizations that already have probably 40% of the time. So you guys can decide, and Sharon has her hand up.
Yeah.
Well, Sharon.
I was going to say something, but Kristen said it all. No. I have a concern about the committee, although, I think some of that's pretty much in place. But I have a concern about having to bring everything back to the select board and have it approved. We don't have time. It's 6 months to get, if we want to do something bigger than normal, we don't have time to get everything approved. We can certainly, if there's a select board person that wants to sit on the committee, they can report back to the select board. And if something, pops up they're not sure of, then, we can talk about it. But it's taken us a month to get to get a suggestion for an ad hoc committee. I just don't think we have the time. And Kristen and I, like she said, we've talked about it in numerous ways. The Historical Society has something special coming up for that particular celebration, but I don't want to tell you what it is. And I want to keep you all in suspense. But so I really, if we can do it through the business group and get a select person to be on there, I'd like to see somebody from the fire department to, perhaps be on there to see what they can do with us as well.
It is a Saturday this year. It's already been set aside. We've reserved it at the Center for All Seasons. So all of those things are in place because the book sale is always there, the means so. There's things already in place, but we would love to have somebody from the select board part of that. Or if there's a resident in the community that's interested in helping, especially with the fundraising, because last year that was really down to the wire. And I don't know if the town is in a position this year where it's a specific celebration to say we will assist with that. Typically we send out letters starting in January, and we take all donations. So, you know, it is a big cost. And the least that we're gonna get away with this year is a little $2,000.
Okay, so it seems like we don't need a committee.
Nope.
But we love
Go at it, I agree, go at it.
But I might offer a suggestion that you have a table at the meeting in January to publicize the fact that this is coming, it's the 250th, we're gonna be, and maybe get some donations and get some things started. It'd be a perfect time to blast off your program.
Great idea. Great
Whatever.
idea.
I made note of that.
All right. Well, we'll see if we can wrangle somebody, I don't know
Yeah.
if they'll be available, but. Do we go? All right.
And now the fun begins.
Yeah, fun. One. Bruce.
Okay, before you even get started on this, there's been a question asked by a taxpayer 2 meetings in a row, and I asked. And nobody has got an answer as of yet, as I know. How many employees are full-time and part-time employees is there in this town?
I think Penny was working on that. Penny, didn't you put that together?
If no, I think we need to table the draft warrant, it goes to another meeting until we have an answer. I think it's only fair for that taxpayer to get the answer. He's only asked what 2 select board meetings in a row.
Can you hear me?
I can, a little bit. Can you speak up?
Yeah, sure. Yes, I did work on it. There is a spreadsheet for that. I don't have it here, obviously, but yes, sorry.
So she could get that out, Bruce.
Yeah.
I know
But
she did work on it.
once again, it's been stated in the audience again. This stuff keeps getting dragged out. Why should citizens keep asking for a question and not getting it in a timely manner? Here we're discussing, and it says everything to do with budget. Is how many employees this town is employing, full-time and part-time. And I just, it's coming to the point that you guys have a board, I gotta start put your foot down and start getting some stuff done. This is getting foolish that the same people ask the same questions over and over and over again. We're not getting answers.
Everybody get that spreadsheet.
We can get it. I don't have access. I don't know where it is. At the moment.
I think the part-time and especially the seasonal employees is important for this because of this, that last law that was just passed, which now is appointed as seasonal employees and we considered June 15 to September 15, which was, pardon my French, but a dumb law by the state of Maine, because seasonal employees start in May. You know, I would get them to school in Orono at the beginning of May, and my pop would be in Bar Harbor the next day, you know, for 5 years running. So we're being asked to pay an increased cost for those folks who come on prior to June 15th. And that's a significant impact for municipalities all across Maine. I know Sharon doesn't necessarily have her feet wet, but I think that perhaps a representative needs to introduce a bill to correct that. Much like the senior housing one needed to be collected the following year when they realized how much money that was really going to cost. So, so I think that that is important because that is a big part of, you know, part of the increases that we're going to see for the first half of the year.
I do think that it's important that we get that information. I know a lot of people have planned to be here today. And so I think it would be, I would appreciate it if the select board would take the time to collect feedback from anybody who is here. And maybe hold off on decision making until we have that information, but since we do have a lot of people who planned to attend this meeting to give feedback, and the meeting was once continued already, or once rescheduled, I just wanna make sure people have the opportunity to ask questions and give feedback today. Even if, we're holding off for that information.
We have to keep in mind that we want to get a final on the warrant articles because we're going to have to put together the mini town report and get that in the mail prior to town meeting January 24.
Last year, it only came up like 3 days ahead, so. We seem to take it work.
What's
They
the
were
board,
both just right.
what's the board want to do?
I think the point is well taken that there are a lot of people who might have questions, so I think that, we're not here to vote on anything tonight.
No, this
So,
is for
I
you
think-
to
I
review the
think that we
warrant,
can go-
make any
go ahead.
adjustments, and then we'll
And-
get those ready for next week so that you and the budget committee can vote.
Yeah,
Right.
Could we get a commitment on when we'll be able to see that head count? Like, can that be available on the town's website in 48 hours or in a certain time frame if it's already available?
We should be able to have that on Thursday. We're not open tomorrow. I don't have access to it. I can remote, but I don't have the files, so it would have to wait until Thursday.
Yeah, I mean, I just, things have gotta start progressing and not,
Right.
I apologize for that. I did prepare that and I guess I dropped the ball and didn't get it out to you. Sorry about that, Bruce.
It's a bit more for the taxpayer than me, but.
Let's start then with some of these articles.
And if you look at your budget packet at the last meeting, it does say what the staff members are in that left-hand column. So you basically already have it. You had it at the last budget meeting.
The citizens don't.
The citizens don't have it.
It's online. It is. The draft budget is online. It's been online.
It's really hard to find too, like I had to go on the town meetings and find it. So sometimes it's really that we go to find stuff doesn't always readily available.
But it is there.
I'm sorry, Lorna, do you mind telling us where it is? Just because I have those documents in front of me and I don't remember. Thank you. Oh, under general government.
Well, yeah, but if you just look under the personnel section. We did put
So you gotta go under each budget to pull each one out from each budget. How many employees there is, full-time and part-time?
we did add notes under there.
So if that's the case, when I look at the facilities, are we only gonna have 3 people this year?
We have, we usually have 2 full-time and then 3 part-time.
So what we have in the facilities is 1 full-time director, 1 full-time employee.
We have, there are 3 part-time. We have a permanent part-time.
And we're not according to the
Right.
so you just told us to. If we look at the facilities, what they have for the employees. Or then go down on your season. So 2 part-time, 37 hours for 4 weeks, and 1 part-time, 37 hours for 8 weeks. What was the 4 weeks for that trade?
So you have 2 part-time under seasonal, 1 part-time. And 1 full-time, 1 part-time. So you do have that information there, Melanie. If you look under full-time, you've got 1 full-time employee, 1 part-time, 32 hours. That's the permanent part-time. Okay, so you got director, another full, and then you've got the permanent part-time, and then you have seasonal, you've got 3 seasonal.
Who does, what's the 4 week stretch for the? We have 2 part-timers that sitting on the 4 weeks out of the summer.
This is only goes to June,
The end of June, but this is to the end of June.
so you're hiring May and June.
Except for Brad, which I think is for the full, but I'm trying to figure out seasonal, I don't see the breakdown of seasonal, but I know we have, so.
Oh, we can get the spreadsheet that just adds out the employees on it, make it a lot easier for everybody, so.
Yeah, because that does like the part-timer for summer facility for 8 weeks doesn't make sense either.
It's May and June, they'll go beyond that, but this budget only goes till June 30th.
Right, so generally seasonal gets hired mid-May, so May 15 to June 15 would be 1 month, not 2. So 8 weeks, that's what I'm trying to figure out the 8 weeks.
May 1 to June 30,
Okay, so.
June
May
1
might not be-
to June 30. So you got 2 months and you got 1 month, you got 4 weeks and you got 8 weeks. Does that make sense?
I didn't realize May 1 was the day.
Okay. Yeah.
There's just a pop-up, I don't know, I can't read what it said, I just want to read. No, on the, there's a what?
I think she probably.
All right, so we started with what, Article 9? Where are we starting? I would agree to me if it is, yeah.
Yeah, I don't.
Well, we need to,
Article 1 and Article 2 are pretty straightforward, right?
right. And Article 3, Article 4 and 5, we need to
We need to decide.
let's talk about the delinquency rate on taxes.
Yes, you have to choose the interest rate.
Interest rate.
Yeah.
And what did we do last year?
We were 6.02.
But wasn't that based on the tan?
Yeah, we did 1% above. MMA didn't like that. They asked us to split that article into 2. That's why you see 2 separate articles now. But we did 6.08% on unpaid taxes this year. And we did 2% on abated taxes this year. So, the choice is, because the state puts out the parameters, you have a choice between 4 and 7.5%.
Did the assessor give an idea what he would recommend for an interest?
Now, this is done by Maine statute. They set the minimums, maximums.
What did you say we did it for taxes due, delinquent taxes last year?
6%?
Unpaid taxes 6.08. Because we were 1% above our TAN rate.
Yes.
So,
And
So
the maximum, well, the maximum is 7.5,
right.
Right.
so.
So if we do 6%, that's pretty close to what it was last year.
If we're trying to avoid TANs completely, not ever having to deal with any TANs again and stuff, we want the taxes to come in. I'm almost in favor of going with maximum. So I'd rather have people pay them than hold on to their money, think they get more interest.
More incentive
or whatever.
I mean, most towns do the max.
Yeah, so if we're switching over and getting away from the TAN and stuff, I just assume go with the maximum is personally. But
And does that make it difficult for people who have trouble paying the taxes?
I don't think that little bit of difference is gonna make that much difference if that's what's going on. I think it affects more of the people that.
Plus,
save
they have
money.
the opportunity, because somebody that's struggling, they come to
Come in
me.
and pay.
Right.
Right.
So.
So I move we fix are we voting on it? No.
No.
Not voted.
No, we're not
we're
voting.
just kind of getting an idea and then we'll vote on it. So we'll bring it back.
So
with
is
that.
it
We'll vote on
sort
it
of the
next time.
We'll bring it back
consensus?
to that.
Okay, so 7.5%.
Seven, yes.
And then you would do the same on the other one, correct?
Article 5.
No, that would be lower.
We typically don't pay as much interest on people's money that overpay. And I'm honestly, I think we should go up on that too, but I don't think we should be. We're gonna charge people more, we shouldn't be paying them less, we have too much of their money.
So Dan, legally, we have to be within 4% of the 77.5% max. So it'd have to be 3.5.
Would be the minimum.
Correct.
But wouldn't it have to be 4?
Well, it says we need to choose
You have to
between
be
4.
But that'd be
Four is
smart. We have to be
Well,
between 4 and
it depends on what you chose for the Article 4. I think it's what you're saying, right, Mary?
Correct.
But it
Yeah.
would still have to be in this parameter.
That's between.
So you have to be within,
Right.
yeah, you have to be within the
4% of the
4%.
max.
So you have to be within 4% of the 7.5. So minimum would be 3.5 on Article
Oh.
5. You can go higher, but your minimum would be 3.5.
So what, I guess I'm confused, but it says you have to choose between 4
Right.
and 7.5, so do you have to choose between the 4 and 7.5, or could it, if they chose to, be the 3.5, or 3 3/4?
I don't think you'd want to leave it at 3.5, but
Right.
You could do it higher if you wanted to, but we're not required to by state law. We just have to be within the 4%. So that means that if we were abating at a higher rate, we're going to abate at, for example, the 7.5, that's a much higher rate. So all you're required to do is it's within 4% of the 7.5.
So we could do 3.5%,
Correct.
because that would be within 4% of 7.5.
Yes.
Is the need to choose between gonna be pulled off for the next round, just because I think that's confusing
yes,
and it
there's
doesn't read what
because the
staff
board,
did.
the select board has complete control over the warrant.
Yes.
So this is for them.
Everything in
to
red's gonna be
decide.
gone,
Yeah.
we're just filling in a number that's gonna
Yeah.
with a percentage.
It's a note, for them, so they know they have to make a decision.
Just making a decision on the underlying percentage.
Thank you, mine just printed all black, so.
I honestly still think though, the fact that we're only paying somebody 3%, but we're charging 7.5% if somebody's building one.
Do we often have folks who are paying extra? It's more on the
It's-
abatements, is where that's historically affected us.
I don't think we have a lot of people who
Usually it's
overpay, right, Mary?
that or sometimes what it is, it's an adjustment that the assessor makes that they make a mistake.
The abatement, yeah.
And we have to turn around and pay the money back.
Right. It's an error on the abatement. Right.
Yeah.
It's an error on the assessment, I should say.
How about we just go like 4%, because if you're using somebody else's money, we should at least pay them something for them.
I can live with 4. 0.5% is not gonna make or break. So let's do 4 and move on. Which brings us to Article 6, right?
So are you going 4%?
Yeah.
Yes.
I have a general question or general feedback about all of these articles that follow and the setup. The 6-month budget actuals request to me is potentially confusing. Because we know that expenses are sometimes lopsided into one 6-month budget or
Right.
the other. And I'm curious if it's necessary to be in there. I think transparency is really good, but if the numbers aren't an accurate reflection, then it's not really transparent. And so I'm just curious if that was put in there for a reason, if it needs to be in there.
It does not have to be in it.
So I feel like the actuals are maybe more helpful to me in understanding it.
More helpful than the budget figure,
Then the 2025 budget, 6 months,
right?
to me, we spent a ton of time talking about how like splitting the budget down in half with a cleaver doesn't give us an accurate 6 month
Right.
budget for the next. And so I feel like the actuals are maybe a more helpful marker for residents to compare with rather than that first line item that it's just that cleavered.
Well, what if, isn't this what it was last year from January through June?
The actual.
Yeah,
The actually.
middle column.
But basically I think, correct me if I'm wrong, I think the budgeted is just
Just cut it in half.
2025 budget split in half.
Which doesn't accurately reflect.
Right, it's not.
Right, which
And I
does
understand, I
take you
understand
waiting.
what she's saying.
Yeah, so do I.
We have a yearly one, yes, we need all 3 columns.
Yeah,
Right,
I think,
because it's very confusing with
It
that
is.
on there.
because if you look at the very first one, it's all right, well, we budgeted 600. We actually spent 840, you know, so
Right.
it doesn't, it's not
oh,
gonna make
this
sense
is
to
what
us
we took
why.
in.
Well, collected.
Collected.
Yeah.
Well, and either side, collective
Yeah.
or side.
Yeah. Either way.
Or maybe if that first column is the 2025 total budget, all 12 months.
Yeah,
That would
And then
also
the
be
second one is the actual,
Yeah.
this is actually what we did in those 6 months, and
Yeah,
this is.
and that might make more sense than 12 months
yes,
and have the different number in there, which was the whole yearly budget.
I agree with
What
that.
we actually spent at first 6 months would be the second.
Yeah.
Well,
I don't know, I think that's gonna be confusing to,
Yeah,
we're only
that
doing
would
a
not be
6 month
helpful.
budget, and so to compare it with 12 months, I think is gonna be.
I think it
Well,
does.
but I think that we have to, by doing the 6 month, we have to. Give the taxpayers what the total for the 12 months was, what their actual was, then what their 6 month was. And then what the request is.
Well, this is all gonna be on the floor of the, right?
Yeah.
So it could be a reminder, remember? This is I mean, we're able to clarify because it's on the floor of the
Correct,
town meeting.
correct.
So
yeah.
we can repeat it if we need to. If your question, just a reminder, that first column is what 12 months was, and it doesn't take in for the seasonal fluctuations. And if we keep bringing that forward as a reminder, so people are tracking, I think
So
that might be helpful.
Are you keeping 3 columns or are you gonna go to 2?
So I think we could keep 3 columns as long as we explain. Remember, this 6 months is not weighted for seasonal.
It's just 2025's budget cut in half, which. Most of our budgets are, it's very confusing.
I would pull it out if
Yeah.
it were me.
you're either gonna pull it out or you're gonna change it to a year.
I would pull
One
it
or the
out.
Yeah.
I would.
Well, I
pull it
wouldn't
out.
put yearly, so I'd pull it out then,
Yeah.
would be
Yeah,
my,
'cause it's very.
I think
confusing.
yearly's gonna make it worse.
yearly is.
Honestly.
Because the yearly doesn't also, people are gonna cut it in half and we're right back where we were.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah, you're right.
Because we didn't develop the 2025 budget to be a 6 month budget, we developed it to be
Right.
a full year budget.
Yeah.
All right,
So, okay, so we'll. In future, take out the 2025. Budget.
okay.
So you're on Article 6.
Article 6, we're getting rid of the first column.
Yeah.
Okay,
I think that's.
Those are just all the figures that the select board and budget committee voted on. Well, actually you voted on all of these already once.
and you're going to hate me for asking this question. The bank interest is the bank interest. It does not include the escrow account interest,
This
correct?
does not, we can't use reserve account.
I
So
know,
that, that's not,
but, okay, so this is just on our own. flow.
Yes.
Okay, no reserve account. I thought that was correct, but I wanted to just verify it.
Thank you, I was gonna ask it.
Huh?
I was gonna ask that question.
Is it possible to note that? So that if people have a question, they. Like bank interest on. You know, the whatever the account is, or whatever that.
It's basically what's in the checking. account,
Yeah,
correct?
undesignated.
Bank interest on undesignated account would not be
What's in the
clear.
checking account.
Yeah,
So why don't we
Can we
change,
put
I
it,
was gonna say, why can't we just put down the designated account bank interest?
Or we could say,
yeah.
Just have that line.
or we just could say checking account interest.
As long as it,
Verified.
I
Just
would put
clarify that.
undesignated because that may come up in another question.
Yeah.
And then it's clear, it's the undesignated monies.
Is that how it's referenced in our like audit and annual report? I would just suggest if it's referenced in a particular way in those other reports, we should be consistent.
I'm not sure how it's referenced. I can't answer that question.
I'll make a note to check the audit.
Okay.
So
Can we go on to number 7?
I was looking between what we did last year's annual report and the numbers that are here, they're not the same. So just on Article 6, I know we just moved on to Article 7, but when I go back and look at that, the request for 2025 under vehicle excise tax was 1,233,000. And yet,
For 12 years.
For 12
For 12
12
months,
months.
nothing.
okay.
So that's why we can't. Good, that was a good example.
Yeah, so I don't know, I think we may have to put the whole, what your total was for the year.
Yeah, but then people are gonna split it in half and still be confused. I,
We can't do that.
Yeah, it's confusing me, and I've been through these numbers a million times.
Okay, you're on 7?
7. Yeah, okay.
okay, so then we take out the
Again, we'll
2025.
take
Yeah,
out
I went
25.
through mine and just
Yeah.
scribbled out that.
On our side.
Yeah.
Okay.
Can I ask why on Article 7, why we're bonding them together like this instead of spreading them out the way we always have?
This is what the budget committee and select board discussed and decided.
Can someone explain to me why?
I can explain, I'm kind of a fault for it. One of the reasons is we've been told that, if we have separate through a line item budget, then we have to spend by line item budget. I haven't seen anything on paper or anything like that, but that's what we've been told. And so, it's very hard for a municipality to spend by line item. It's a one, it's usually a bottom line budget, so that's why we went for the 2-line budget. But they're supposed to be backup for the how we got to that budget available to the public so they can see how we get to that.
The whole budget is
Right.
on our website.
Yeah, what I'm saying, Laura, is nobody's gonna print out 500 pages. So especially when we're looking to change our fiscal year, I don't think the way to do it is to give the people less information. I think when I look at this town report, and I'm gonna be changing the stuff for this one, I think that there needs to be enough consistency that the citizens can follow along without them being expected to print out 500 pages.
but the
So
reason,
my suggestion would be that if we want to change that going forward for the whole full year budget, then maybe there's a way to explain that to people, but when we're doing a big change and it's a half a year budget, I think that the most important thing that you guys can do is keep it consistent so that the citizens clearly understand what they're doing and what they're paying for. I don't think having administration operations all belonged in together gives me enough information of exactly who's getting what. Who got the big bump in pay, what are we coming down on? We're not seeing that. So I would respectfully request that we pull it back out unless we have some documentation that comes into the town that says legally we have to do it this way. I know when we go to MMA workshops, they generally do PowerPoint presentation that they give to you after, and if there's something legally that shows we should do this. But I checked with all of the area towns around us, and if we go to this format, we're the only ones. Mount Vernon, Rome, Sydney, they all spell it out in a way that their taxpayers can understand. And that's how we've done it.
And I checked with Reedfield, and Reedfield does it the same way we used to do it and never heard about that you have to go with line item budget. Haven't heard of it.
So.
Can I make a comment? On the time of year that you want to split our taxes. Carol is the only one that has been around family that's had a seasonal business. We depend on tourists for our income. In March or April, there is no income. Have you thought about that?
Well, I know the reason we're doing this is to be on the same budget as counties and the schools and everything else.
That's great, but. And maybe this isn't the time for me to say it, and sometimes I don't follow Robert's rules. But my taxes went up so much this year. And so I started asking some customers that were coming into the shop. And, you know, where are you staying, or, you know, whatever. A lot of them were people that had come to Belgrade for years and years and years. Because the taxes have gone up so high, they're having to sell. My taxes now are so high. When I bought the house almost 60 years ago and have paid my taxes every year, I am almost 79. It seems to me that there should be some kind of adjustment made for somebody that has paid taxes for almost 60 years in the same house. When I first bought the house was 13.5 and not in prime frontage, because the store did gas out by the back of the store for boats. So to be up to $6,700 this year, which is almost $1,700 that went up this year. And to hear that the taxes may go up again next year, and you want half the taxes when there's no income. I wish somebody would think about that. And what kind, yeah, I get homestead exemption. But what does that amount to if you're paying almost $7,000? I'm a widow, I'm doing this by myself. And I wish that the town has changed. We're not getting the same people in town, I noticed this year, that have always come to Belgrade every year. They're not coming. The camps are too expensive. Their property taxes are too expensive. We're now getting people where some people are charging $10,000 a week for a cottage. That's not the kind of people, the town is changing, and I know there's change. And Carol's family is very good about changing. Her mother was always very good about changing. But I wish there would be something that could happen with senior citizens that have been long-term in their house. I wish we could do something as far as our property taxes go.
I mean, I think it's a valid point. I think we'd have to look at it.
Yeah, we'd have to look at it, and can we also look at a waiver for certain people?
I mean,
No, for March, April.
No, you can't do that.
Okay,
I'm sorry, you can't do what?
I was saying, a waiver for people who
Oh.
wouldn't be able to pay taxes in April, but could pay
No, but-
them in
I mean,
July.
and this I don't think is where I mean, one discussion is what's taxable gonna be, the other is how do we collect it?
Right.
And I don't know that tonight's the night to do, how do we collect it? But is there something we could consider doing a monthly tax bill to help spread it out? I don't know, but
Well, you can pay your taxes at any time.
no, I understand that, but to Jan's point, and now we're getting off where we should be, but if she doesn't have the income, I'm not picking on you, if you don't have the income in January, February, and March, paying monthly isn't gonna help you. But is there could you pay monthly instead of paying all of it in April? So
See, our
could we
summer
pay
now
part of
says
it and then look at, and I don't know the answer, I think we need to look at it and massage, but is there a way to make an exception that anyone is able to do, that we're not saying it's just this one group, because we need to be, so what does monthly look like? I know in Portsmouth, I can pay my taxes monthly. They've been doing it twice a year. I just have to I have to trade it.
We can
Our
pay taxes
summer
monthly.
now,
Mary, you take taxes every month if folks wanna pay that way.
Right, but what Jan's talking about is she doesn't have the money to get caught up.
and I don't wanna see my taxes go up more. This is almost getting more than what I can afford.
So,
But let's look at
yeah,
something,
we can look at something.
which is one piece, and the other is let's get through what we're gonna be doing for taxes, and then we look at that, because yeah, we'll have to look at it both ways. But you make a valid point that whether or not we can do anything on it, I don't know, but let's look at it, think about it, and
Cause now our summers don't go from the 1st of May to the 1st of October.
no, they don't.
Our summer really doesn't start until the week before 4th of July.
And it's been the second week of August.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, let's, I don't know, I'd say let's look at it, keep moving forward on this so we can get through this part of
I
it.
say no taxes on seniors.
Well, I'm a senior, I think that's a great
The
idea.
whole state representative, start getting them to work on that.
Well, Florida's trying to.
It'll just come someplace else, but that's, that's another
conversation.
In talking to my husband about this, since he hasn't been coming to these meetings, he had no idea what administration versus operations would have been. And so if more details put in, that would solve that issue, but if not, I would ask that there be some type of clarification attached to the warrants or in the packet that just explains what those two costs are, because.
And I think we need to do that very clearly.
And then I guess before we get too far in these ads, I'd like to make another suggestion, maybe we do just because this is new to everybody, it's even new to us, I mean, we've been struggling this for months. Maybe we need to have 2 weeks before or 3 weeks before, have an informational meeting down at the Center for All Seasons.
Absolutely.
Have people be able to come in, make comments on the articles before it goes to vote, listen to that. And be able to explain stuff to people, we're all, this is all new to us, this is all new territory.
And I don't see any reason why we couldn't do that. We did it with the fire department, we did 3 separate meetings.
And not have to do it on the floor when it's time to vote.
Well, at least when people come, they know what we're looking at.
Yeah.
Right, and you can give them information at that time, so they have time to look
To
at
look at it.
Look at that, how we got to these numbers. They have the chance to see how we get to them numbers, and give them a couple weeks before town meeting to see, okay, I see where this is. Or say, okay, well, I don't like that number, so maybe I'm gonna speak on town meeting and decrease that number, you know what I'm saying? It gives the opportunity for the taxpayer to be informed, and I think where we're changing things, it's a big change, and I think we need a lot of education, unfortunately.
Melanie first.
So I'm gonna go back to saying, I think we need to stretch it out the way we always have. This is a format that everybody understands. And just going to the little go on them together, you miss the town manager in your explanation. So according to this, the administrative operations does not include town manager. So unless we hidden her someplace else, that's not spelled out.
The administration is wages and benefits for the department. So
Administration, how it was worded last year is select board, board of appeals, administration, town manager, code enforcement, planning board, families and elections, historian and insurance. You split out insurance and you go on to the rest of them in under Article 7, but you missed the line item for town manager. It is general administration and goes right to code enforcement. So that the amount is there, but not where it goes.
Yeah, probably should be in there because it's a
And
contract.
that's my error to not have that in there. It does include town manager, it includes all the historian, historians, Board of Appeals, Select Board, General Administration, Code Enforcement, it has all of those.
Yeah. It's split out because I think the citizens have the right to know who they're paying and what they're paying.
At this point, Melanie, it's not gonna be split up.
Why would we pull it out so that folks are seeing the actual amounts that we're paying?
It's gonna have to come with the backup. I mean, we've already gone through this. I don't think we're gonna go through and reinvent it again to.
Why can't?
But we have a figure.
It's earlier, filling in the line items with it, it's where the money came from. It's just plugging in the amounts that are gonna come up to that total, which is no different than how we've always done it.
Right, because the totals came from the original budget, so.
Right, I mean, we have the line item.
But we're trying to get away from the line item budget. So we
Right.
don't want a line item on the warrant.
Right.
Right,
we
but
just-
it's background.
You know, we could,
Yes.
We can have it as backup.
Yes.
what if when we send this out, we send out, this is how we got to operations. And we put in what made up operations. It's not on the warrant, so it doesn't make it a line item, but it's backup documentation. And there's no reason why at town meeting, she said, at town meeting, I could suggest, last year we had the two big screens. So people could see the warrant article while it was being discussed. We could put up here, administration is made up of these pieces or these numbers. We're not voting on them by line, we're voting on the total number, but that's more explanation for people.
Right.
And it would be a way so people could see it and if they had a question.
And I think that
But
needs
I-
to be
but I-
explained to every article.
That works for me.
But isn't there a restriction on how much information we can
Not on the floor.
Not on the
provide?
floor.
No,
I think it's.
in the printed
Secret ballot.
warrant, it's in the printed warrant,
Secret ballot
Yeah.
So,
it's secret ballot.
secret ballot.
Right.
on the floor, but that's not,
I've been-
putting something on the screen is, that's not, it's not on the warrant.
It's not on the
so
warrant.
you're
Okay,
fine.
okay.
It's
Yeah, that was
just
just my
explanation.
question.
Fine.
And we could look to do that and put that and have that up, so we could send it out ahead of time on those 6 or 7 or 8 or 9 articles. And we could put it up on the screen and then people could have it for reference.
That works for me.
Okay, so
And it would,
do we not want the citizens to be able to look in there, the town report, or look to see what they voted on, to see how much the town manager is making, how much code enforcement officer is making, how much facilities making? By doing it this way and dumping them all together, essentially you're telling the citizens that you don't owe them an explanation of how much you're paying people. Cause it is one big pot of money is what you're doing,
But-
and for me, when I pay my taxes, I wanna know who's getting what.
But if you do, the breakdown would be in there, I think, correct me if I'm wrong, Carol, you're saying to send that out when we send out our mini.
we can send it out, not as the article, but as the backup to
Right.
the article. So we're not changing the warrant article, but
Right.
we're giving people the information that goes with it.
So you have, so at the end of a book, you have your articles, and then before the end of the book, you'd have Article 7, this is your line items, how you get to Article 7, this is how you get to line Article 8.
I think we could do it so we could put an explanation out there.
That makes the sense.
And I just, I mean, yes, the reason we went to this type of budget is I do think. Maybe it was wrong for me to kind of push this, but we were being pushed that we had to do it this way, or we gonna have to spend a line article and it's too hard for the municipality, you're budgeting something in the year to, you know, if you don't have that in your line, sorry, you can't spend it, well, that doesn't work. For the
Well, and
municipality.
I mean, and I don't think, at this point, I don't think we're going back.
No,
I'm not
saying
ready to
go
go back. So
I'm
let's
saying-
move forward
Right, but I think
and do
we
the
need to have
best to give our explanation.
I think we need to have some documentation on that too.
Absolutely.
Just maybe when you go to the year, put it back the way it is. So do the explanation, but there's no point in having to push out further explanation. When the way we've been doing it for the last 25 years is the perfect explanation. Who gets what? And Here's your total.
I think it was Barbara and Carol that went to the thing that came back and said that if we're doing the line item,
was.
Line
have
item.
to spend.
You have to spend within the line, right?
And that's why I said, when you do those presentations with MMA, they always give you a PowerPoint presentation. So if we're gonna change something up in the town, there needs to be documentation showing the town that they actually have to adopt that. And if we don't, then there's no point in us doing it. Because what we did purposely 10 years ago was pull it out so that people had more explanation. So going back to giving people no explanation as part of my bunch is just gonna piss people off. Because we get to know where our taxes go. We get to know who's getting paid what. Because it's our taxes. We're the ones paying your budget. So by pulling it all together and saying, here's your big pot of money, but we're not gonna tell you who it's for, that's a disservice to the citizens.
Okay, so why don't we look at how we can provide backup material? It won't be in the actual warrant language for each particular warrant, but it would be available as backup as to where how these figures were determined.
It needs to go in when we do the mini town, annual report, the mini one, it needs to be in that mini report. That way they were sure that every citizen that's mailed to it gets it and it's seen.
And we,
Oh, sorry.
I was just gonna say, and my suggestion, because I do think people are familiar with this format, would be, you know, you'd have article. Whatever, the one we're on 7, Article 7, the warrant, and then like explanation for Article 7 on the same page.
You can't do that.
Can't do that.
Not in the information sheet,
In the
In
information.
the warrant.
Not in the warrant.
not in the warrant, in the handbook you're sending out to people. If you wrote the article as it would be presented, and then you have an explanation below that matches what they're accustomed to, you can satisfy both sides. You know, you can get the information you're looking for, which I think is reasonable, but also keep your warrant language tighter. You know, it seems to me like you can do both without, it'll be a little extra work, obviously, but
Well, if we're gonna send that on a separate page, or do we put them on the same page?
I mean, I would put them on the same page if you
Yeah.
can, so it's easy for people and it gives the appearance of transparency, right? Like, it's not just about being transparent, it's making it clear that you're trying really hard to be transparent. I think those both are valid. So that would be my compromise suggestion for what it's worth.
Like,
We're on quick turnaround too, so we just wanna be mindful that we wanna have good decisions and know what direction we're going so that
Well, the most important.
we
thing
can
is the
just
citizens.
get something put together so we
But
can get that out.
biggest thing I can tell you is, I feel if we don't have some, be able to explain this out. Most of these articles.
But we could get the explanation.
Right, but I'm saying you gotta get it out.
Right,
So-
we have the explanation, we all worked on the explanation.
Right,
Yeah.
he know,
Right,
Right.
but everybody out there doesn't know.
Right.
And that's what I'm saying, we gotta get it out, and we gotta make sure it gets out.
it's all your fault, Bruce.
I know it's, well, no, it's your fault.
So in the interest of moving ahead and not being here until we all have to be working. I have pulled the calendar. I'm just gonna give you these dates and then you guys can decide what you wanna do with them, but instead of hashing all of this out over and over, if it's truly like an issue of citizens wanna know information. I think that we all worked through that worksheet, right? We all had to do that for budget purposes. We got to those numbers. There's nothing, nobody's trying to hide anything. Anybody can ask what I make and I'll tell them. But we do have those numbers line by line, so that seems like an easy enough solution. Tuesday, January 6th, the CFAS is open, and Thursday, January 8th, CFAS and North Belgrade are both open, and Wednesday, January 7th, North Belgrade is open. So I think we should, if that's the way we want to do this, instead of having town meeting sound and look similar to this, then we look at those as informational nights. And then the rest of tonight, we move forward with these articles.
Yes.
You know, and if people need more information, then those are additional opportunities for them to get that before we get to town meeting. That's my personal.
Well, we need to be mindful too of the number of seniors we have in this town. So we're requesting that everybody comes for town meeting. Are we providing shuttles or some things in order to get folks there? And if
We do have the ability to
meetings,
broadcast, which is one.
But there's no voting
No
remote.
voting.
Correct. So the informational nights, we can easy enough.
Okay.
That'd be helpful.
Yeah, that would be very helpful.
So can we go back to getting through the articles?
Yes, on Article 7.
That'd be great.
Because I think that's where or we'll be here all night and.
Anybody have anything else on Article 7?
We have to add back in town manager. You're gonna add back in town.
Yeah,
manager.
whatever was missing, that was,
And Wes said what I need to say, and I'm old and I passed my age.
We're gonna miss all this fun?
but Article 8. Everything on Article 8.
Article 8 is pretty straightforward, right?
Yeah, sure, sure.
That's that.
Okay.
Article 9, I have a suggestion. To add. Funding from non-property tax sources. To add an additional 5,000, which would come from the ACO special fund. To offset what we tax out or reduce the tax burden for that. So you would actually be funding $274,587 instead. Because you would use $31,450 to help offset that budget.
Can I throw a monkey wrench in? And I know you and Mary looked at those two things to try to reduce the tax bill for June. I'm thinking we should take half of that because this is half the budget. And let the
They
other,
can only be used for certain things, so there's.
but you could put that half in to reduce the next yearly, that's all I'm asking, I'm
As you say, just
suggesting.
put in $2,500.
I'm saying put in 2,500, save the other 2,500
For the full year.
for the full year, because there are gonna be some expenses that if we reduce everything down and then all of a sudden we go to a full year, whoop, up we go.
Yeah.
So that's I think the things you found are perfect and I think they need to be figured in. And especially the money coming back in PERS. But
I agree.
if it reduces
Too much.
this 6 months way down. Next year, we're not gonna have that 114,000 or something coming back from PERS, which is gonna have a greater impact.
Yeah, you gotta.
So I'm thinking, should we do it half and half? And I don't know, my brain all of a sudden decided it should go there and think about it.
So was the $5,000 suggestion one, or was that was for the first 6 months? But what is the idea that we could continue applying that amount of money for the next fiscal year?
I don't know if we would want to. I'm Mary still, I'm Mary, would we want to pull more to apply for the 12-month budget in June?
I mean, I think that's sort of Carol's question is, how big is the pot for the?
I think
ACO
there's
special fund?
24,000 and something in there.
But
And we're
if you're
restricted
using-
on its use.
If you're using 5,000 on this one. Technically, the next budget, $10,000.
Yeah.
Because it's a third and then 2/3.
Right.
So if you were gonna reduce this.
Well, yeah,
This $5,000, you'd be actually divided into 3.
right.
You'd use a third this time and 2/3 next time.
I'm just afraid if we use all of it now, and I know that's what we're trying to do is to reduce as much as we possibly can. But then you've got the other swing side of it.
Right.
That when we come to the July to June budget.
Well, that's my biggest thing. I preach it every year is this up and down is not good. It's more try to stay the level and the little bumps, not big, big downs.
Well, that's
big
right.
ups.
Because nothing's gonna go down in price, so if
Right.
we take small incremental costs. Each year, as opposed to the big swings.
But with the ACO special fund, did that reflect, that's where all the fines go? Right?
No,
No,
that's dog fees, the late fees
Yeah.
underneath.
Every
$750.
So next, and when we start doing next year's full budget, are they gonna have $10,000 in money that's been replenished that we can use again?
Probably.
So,
So do we want to do 5,000 for that, or do we want to lower that to?
That's up to you all.
I mean, I don't have a problem if you want to reduce this number, just tell me what you want to reduce it to.
So what do we want to use? You want to use 2,500 or you want to use a third? It's a small number
Small
here, it's a
number.
big number on the other
So
one.
we can just split it in half on this one, but I think when you're gonna get to the other one,
The difference is so minimal, if we're gonna do thirds, let's do thirds, so we're consistent.
okay,
So you'd have a third of 5,000. And it's easier to explain, right? We're consistent.
Yeah.
So,
$1,666.
I would much rather be different, so I was gonna be quiet for this.
okay, so let's do 1666 and then just come up with a new total and use that page.
okay. So. Does that do Article 9?
Yep.
That should be on.
I have
Yeah, yeah, it's questions about that.
Yeah.
In thinking about the feedback that I'm seeing in the Facebook group, in particular, one of the concerns that keeps getting raised that I think is not accurate when you look at everything, but there's like a perception issue, is that there's like pockets of money everywhere.
Right.
And I think being new to seeing all this, part of that is these lapsing funds going into the capital reserve. And like this automatic lapsing, because then if someone gets a really good budget one year, there's almost an incentive to ask for extra money and then not spend it because it ends up in the pot that you may have in the future. And if everybody's spending for resources, because that's how life works, you know, I think it creates a different perception. And so I'm curious about taking that out. That way it is anything left over in these accounts at the end of the year, the select board has a more direct decision-making authority about how to allocate those capital reserves. In line with what the town's priorities are. So like if a fire truck is super high priority, the select board, I think, already has the authority to decide it's gonna come from this reserve. But I think that feels harder to do versus if at the end of the year we have this money and that we decide as for our community, these are the highest needs and allocate them, that feels more transparent to me than just having this fall over money. I also am just curious if every year we're making decisions about like what are our, and if we have a written policy about our capital reserve goals. And when we hit those goals, we stop contributing to that capital reserve, like that kind of bigger picture financial perspective.
There's no policy. And we have a perpetuity article that allows anything left in the recreation and library budgets to go to their respective reserve accounts. And then it looks like it's always been done for public safety, or not public safety, but fire and rescue, the same as part of the warrant article, and also public works. So any unexpended balance goes to the reserve account for fire and rescue on the warrant article. And on public works, the unexpended balance also goes into the roads capital reserve account. So the select board could alter the warrant articles when they do those each year. But you still have a perpetuity article, so it's good forever until changed by the voters. That allows for unexpended monies at the end of the year to go to recreation capital reserve and library capital reserve. So those would be new warrant articles to remove that. Voters would have to vote on it. Do you know what I mean?
So I know like on the fire department, like the answer, some of the, on that, on the fire department, some years we have to take care of the capital reserve because we end up overspending that budget because we have repairs, payroll goes over. So most years, if anything laps over, it's very, very minimal. I mean, very little.
But they can't, just so you're aware, they can't just say, we're gonna take this money out of capital reserve, they have to request from someone.
I understand, but like when I look at the library, they have $25,000 in reserves, and I don't even think we're responsible for the building. Which sounds like a lot, which may be an appropriate amount, but if we don't have a policy and we're not looking at these numbers every year, it just feels like that automatic lapse allows things to be on autopilot when we should be making decisions more proactively about the reserves.
I think in 24, we actually used some of that to reduce their budget.
Yeah, we took some of the capital.
We did in 24, we took 8,524 from their capital reserve to reduce their budget, so it reduced what we taxed out.
And I'm not saying that that it's been done wrong in any way, but I just think that's part of the perception. Is that there's like money falling into different buckets instead of us just saying, this is our town's reserve and these are our projects.
Maybe we can just add that to like, if we do an information night, because I've heard the same, like, oh, you have a bunch of money sitting in all these separate reserves. I think it just needs to be explained the way you explained it.
Right.
And then people will understand, and that'll be something else that they have information on. That, so
Yeah, and that's a much larger question than we.
And one of the other problems, there's not a good way of doing it. If you don't let the money lapse, what happens is the same thing is gonna happen with the state. The department's gonna go out at the end of the year and go, okay, I've got too much money left. I'm gonna go out and buy some stuff. State does it every single year. They'll go out and spend every penny so that the next year is for at least the same amount of budget, because if you don't use it, next year you're expected to not have a budget. So it's not a good way of doing it either way, really. Explaining it is the best thing we can do.
and I think Mary has a question.
Yeah, Mary has one hand. Mary, go ahead. Mary.
Okay, so now you can hear me. Sorry. I was talking all this time. Anyway, so what I just wanted to explain is that those reserve accounts were set up for a special purpose, and the purposes have changed over the years. However, we just still do have that perpetuity article that authorizes the remainder of those funds to be placed into the reserve accounts, regardless of what we think. And so until we change that warrant article to amend it about the remaining funds, they have to go in there. It has to go as a warrant article to the voters to amend that warrant article. So yeah, we do have $25,000 in the library reserve account, but the perpetuity article authorizes those monies to be placed there if they're not spent in their budget. And so it's really important to make sure that, you know, if you need it, then you put it in your budget and you spend it, because it ends up building up reserve accounts. So I'm not sure if that helps at all, Jillian, but
When you say warrant article, just for my clarification, is that one that we vote on every year, or there's an old warrant article?
No. So it's a perpetuity article, and that perpetuity article says this article will remain in effect until changed by a vote of the future town meeting. So it means a forever article.
Perpetuity articles, in my opinion, are not good.
So one of the things I noticed, Mary, is in our town report, there's no way to get to the perpetuity articles, they're not here.
So we don't always print it because we are very mindful of the number of pages that we have for the town report. So no, The perpetuity articles have not been in there for a couple of years because it means extra pages, extra money. We're sending all those reports out to every taxpayer. It's very, very costly. And so we have not been printed it because we've been trying to limit the number of pages that are being printed. And as you know, Melanie, the costs are going up on everything. The costs are going up on printing, the costs are going up on postage, but we're trying to stay within our budget. So no, those have not been printed for a couple of years.
Right, so I'm saying there is that citizens can't know what those perpetuity articles are and how that governs where the reserve monies are going and how they get there. When there's no way, when they pull out their town reports, they look at the warrant from last year, they don't know what those perpetuity articles are.
Are they on the website?
They are, you have to go, it's a little convoluted.
Oh, I see it now, yeah. Okay, thank you.
Yeah, and I understand that. And so maybe the board needs to rethink how much we're spending because we're spending almost $10,000 between postage and the printing of those reports to send out to every taxpayer because the thought process is that every taxpayer deserves a town report. I can't tell you how many come back from the post office. I mean, we probably get 100 to 200 back from the post office. We get probably 50 to 100 back from the transfer station from people who just throw it away within a couple of weeks' time. So really, that's a cost savings right there that the board needs to really consider. There are not a lot of municipalities that are sending it out to every taxpayer anymore. We have the opportunity to have the town report available on the internet through our website. People can access it that way if they're truly interested. But yeah, we've tried to cut down the number of pages because when we increased the number of pages, the cost increased. So no, we haven't been printing the perpetuity articles.
Well, that wasn't my point, Mary. My point was just that folks don't understand how the money gets to those reserve accounts because we have perpetuity articles. They're not easily accessible. They're not attached to anything that they already have. You know how I stand on the town board. I think we need to be doing it for forever. When I went to the Pulsifers and I had a question about something that happened in the 80s, and the repulsifer went into the back room and found me the town report from 1985 that referenced it. These are important to the citizens.
Yeah, I know what you're saying. And to have all the information available in the town report is important. But you know, I don't know what more to say, but no, we have not been printing the perpetuity articles for a couple of years.
Would it be possible to add that, a link to it, or a QR code, or some way that residents could be aware that it exists and be able to find it more easily on the website?
Or put it in that newsletter that we're shipping out to everybody. Here's your perpetuity article.
We have
The
another thing.
perpetuity articles are on the website.
Yes,
So-
but it's just, if you don't know they exist, you don't know how to look for them. So, does that make sense? Like, if you're not familiar with it being part of the government structure.
You could probably put a
Agreed.
statement at the beginning of the warrant. There are perpetuity articles. You can scan this UR code or go to this link.
That's a good.
And it should take
Yeah.
a sentence or so somewhere in the page.
Yep.
Okay.
So.
Oh,
Hi, I don't know if this is right time to ask these questions, but I heard that there's an unrestricted fund balance of almost $6 million. And one question is, what is the plan for that money? And why we have such a high reserve fund balance that's unrestricted? And secondly,
The
Go ahead.
checking account balance today was 6.9 million. That includes all of our reserve accounts and special revenue accounts, Joan. So we do not have a general or undesignated fund balance of 6.9 million.
What is our undesignated fund balance?
Reserves are like 3.2. And I wanna say special funds are, $650. So. We've got just under 3. That would be undesignated.
And how high are we trying to get in that, and what are we gonna use it for?
Best accounting practices are 3 months. Expenses, and we're around $1,030,000 or so a month in expenses.
Okay. My other question is, why is there a plan to increase the taxes again from 5 to 10%, since we've already had a 30% increase over the years?
Over what years, Joan?
The last 3 years, our taxes have increased about 30%. And then there's information out there that says you want to increase it 5 to 10% more for property taxes.
I don't,
But
mill rate, likely less than 1/2 of what it is currently for this 6-month period. Which is good and bad.
But I've seen the mill rate go down before, and we still paid the same amount of taxes.
Right,
So that didn't make any sense.
Rob did factoring, which brought all of the property valuations up, which in turn reduced the mill rate. Does that make sense? You could have a higher mill rate and a lower property value. When he did the factoring, it brought the value up more where it should be, so it dropped the mill rate. We can't tax out just for whatever amount we want. We can only tax out our municipal, county, and school budget less revenues applied. It gives us a figure, and then that's where you set that mill rate.
Okay, but there's no way that if the mill rate drops, our taxes drop ever.
I think it's because if you see the mill rate drop, it's usually because the valuation has been brought up, either through factoring or a reval. But yeah, I'd be happy to speak with you one-on-one in person if you like, Joan. Come in anytime to see me. Or you could also speak with Rob, our assessor. He could explain the mill rate calculation sheet much better than I.
And the second part was, they say that you are trying to increase the budget or the property tax by 5 to 10% more coming up.
I don't see
is that true?
I don't see that on this budget.
Okay.
So I think another thing you need is, unfortunately, here in the town of Belgrade, we don't control RSU 18 or Kennebec County.
Yes.
And unfortunately, if we can get big groups to go to RSU 18 meetings and to county meetings, big groups, maybe we can start making a change and cut that what we're paying to the RSU and to the county. I mean, that's what really where a big chunk of our money goes, unfortunately.
Yeah, can't we start a petition or something to change how they're calculating that? They're just basing it off our property taxes instead of the number of students.
Up to your state legislators.
Yeah, it's all done through the state.
Get over to your state rep, Sharon Frost.
And the only other question I had was, I'm a little confused, like you were talking about having open meetings before to explain things, but what's been bothering me is I'm not sure how this change in the tax year is going to affect our payments, because we just paid a full year, right? So are we paying half a year coming next year? Is that how it's going to work?
Well, you're paying
I'm confused.
You'll pay a half a year. You'll pay for 6 months, and then the new year will start again. You'll be paying for a full year from that point.
But you'll have a payment every 6 months, Joan.
Okay, so we pay half in January or whatever, and then half in April?
No.
You'll pay half due in April, And then you'll have a half year, 6 months due in October. And then the following April, which will be 6 months, you'll have a half due. Does that make sense?
So it's always gonna be a half
Yes.
each time?
Yes,
Okay, instead of playing a full year.
correct.
Okay. I was just confused because I was worried we were paying an extra half and then a full again.
You're not paying extra, we can't make you pay extra, it'll be just every 6 months. You'll pay 6 months of taxes.
Okay. Thank you for the clarification.
You're welcome.
Forgotten where we are.
Article 10.
Okay.
Did we do nine?
Huh?
We did nine?
We did that.
Did we finish 9?
That was the one that we changed the numbers on, right?
Yeah, we're gonna take
Minus
$16,600. Okay.
So Article 10. We have Article 10. Any changes on this one?
That's our road delete.
It's pretty straightforward.
Okay.
And
Article 11. And on there. First,
Yes, I got a question. How's that gonna work on the portfolio going up? Like, where, isn't that?
We actually got the 6 months from Bar Harbor, so
So are we gonna receive the 6 month and? I guess.
because we do it the year after.
Right.
So we're taking the first 6 months of this year and applying it
Okay,
right here. So we
Okay.
actually got the figures from Bar
Okay.
Harbor already.
okay, thank
Yeah,
you.
so those are right. Yeah,
Thanks.
you're welcome.
11 was 12.
Houses, facilities.
I'm gonna request on Article 12 for a reduction. When I go into the packet, we're looking at a $7,000 bump for one person to pay for their upgrade to their CDL license. And I want to remind those of you who are on the board that we paid for a former code enforcement officer to get all their certifications and all their trainings. And then they left the town. And we said at that point in time, wow, we won't do that again.
We're not,
And then
Hold on.
now
we're not,
looking
we're
at-
not, we're not.
We're not, so that 7,000 is gone?
No, but there will be a requirement in place that the employee will have to sign that if they leave within a certain number of years, then they have to pay that money back to the
I know
town.
you can't, which we found out with the code enforcement officer. Now we need to-
I think you can, law enforcement does it all the
We
time.
checked that.
We do it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
law
We do,
enforcement
we
does
pay
it
for
all the time.
licenses and we've had them drafted multiple
Yeah.
times.
When we requested that previously about code enforcement, we were told that you couldn't hold someone to pay something back if they left employment. A better thing would be for them to pay in advance, and maybe you pay them back for it, but the reality is this person is gonna have a license that they're gonna have for life on their own. And the only reason that we're looking to do it is that we purchased equipment in town that nobody has the right licensure to operate. So for me as a citizen, I'd rather we dump the equipment that we don't have somebody qualified for. Instead of paying an additional $7,000, we've known for almost a year. That this was an issue. But now we're bumping up on this now. And my take as a citizen is about that $7,000, and if we need to. Sell the trailer or sell the giant truck. Because we don't have qualified people to drive it, then that's what we need to do. But I don't think we should pay for someone to upgrade themselves personally and have it be on the citizens' back. I think there's been enough time for that to have been figured out over the last 9 months at least that we've all known about it. And something had been done before now, and if it isn't, I think that. We should get rid of the equipment that we don't have people certified for. Cause this could set another year while somebody does this, there's a lot of training involved.
Well, it's only one combination that they can't do. It's the big trailer with the big truck.
Big truck.
You can mix match other combinations, you can use the truck, you can plow with it, you can sand with it, you just can't haul the big trailer with it.
Exactly.
So,
So, and if that's the only reason that we're looking to do this upgrade, then we make sure. Beyond a shadow of a doubt that those two things are not being operated together. Because that's our job as the boss of that department.
So why couldn't we write a policy stating that new trailer can't be hauled on the 550, it only can be hauled on the 110 or 3/4 ton? That's very simple to write a policy up, it's a $7,000 savings to the town taxpayers.
I'm sorry. Are there situations where you would need to use the two pieces of equipment together?
no, it's the safest way to haul it,
Okay.
but you can legally haul it in a different way.
How much is the way
Is it safer to haul it that way?
I think it's the GVW stand on it that's the problem.
That's what I think so too, because then if you take, even if we take the town's one ton. And that's probably 10,700 pounds. Could be up to 11,700 pounds. It's a gas engine, so it's gonna be a little bit lighter, so then that affects how much that can haul. So as long as the GBW of that trailer is not 14,000 unlimited. If someone just has a,
It's probably gonna go to a 3/4 ton haul. To get you into the right without going over.
well, it's not a whole lot difference so between 2,500 and 3,500. So the reality is, if we have a piece of equipment that it's tricky for us to figure out how we can lose it. Why don't we sell it to get something we can use?
I would have to look at the trailer and do.
Or we just stick with what we decided at the moment, and then we look at it down the road.
Yeah.
Because we've already voted on what we're doing with this
Also,
policy.
citizen, Dan, I don't wanna feel $7 for someone to do something.
Yeah, and we'll know that. But like I said, we came up with a policy that said that they were required to stay. If they're gonna do, if we're gonna do this, so.
They're not required to stay, but.
Well, they're
Yeah.
required to pay it back, if
Required
they
to
don't
pay
stay.
back.
Right.
Right.
And we've been done a policy, yeah, there are.
It's one of the policies I think we've got coming on.
Because I thought we also, there was gonna be discussion that they're gonna pay upfront and be reimbursed for it, like all the other entities in town.
I believe so, yes. That's one of the things we have coming up on.
But it's also, we're not under the obligation to make sure that folks who work for us have the right licensure. It's part of their requirement for employment. So what we've done is we've made mistakes. So in order to remedy them, I'm saying that we're gonna continue making mistakes. Or we just fix it and we can do it again. We don't do it, we learn from the lesson.
I think what we said down is any new employees who are, as part of what they're gonna be required, is they're gonna have to have that license, but employees that we already have now. You can't go back and say, all right, you're either fired or you go get the license.
I mean, that's what we had to do with us, with firefighters, we had to go get our CDL license.
Right.
Right, or you weren't working for the fire department. Or you weren't gonna be operating the machinery that you're not allowed to operate without the proper licensure. But it's not on the fire department to pay for your CDL, correct?
Yeah, we were fortunate, we was able to just get our front home permits and set for it. Now you can't do that, now you can't read it up, because literally,
I got mine like 2 weeks before.
yeah, just do a permit.
They
Yeah, you
changed, they
said you
changed
just made it.
the rules
Just
on
made
it.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, we don't say for the fire department, if you want to become the town's paramedic, the town's gonna pay for your paramedic license. They went through, they paid for their own schooling, now we pay them more money because now they're paramedics.
We pay them back.
We pay them, if they are members, we reimburse them after they pass.
After they pass it, it gets paid back 100%.
Yeah. Yeah. That's why I wanna make sure it's in that policy that.
Right.
They pay up front.
We had some members that took it, didn't pass it, and then the town was out, and that changed after.
Yeah.
So now they pay up front, then they get reimbursed upon completion.
Yeah.
A little more.
Upon passing,
Upon-
completing and passing,
Yeah.
of course.
So it does sound like you're moving towards that policy, so I think you could.
13.
So on 13, I've already talked to Lauren about this. I'll bring up the $18,000 in anticipated revenue. recycling prices are down in the toilet, like real bad. So we will probably be holding a lot of our recyclables until the prices come back up. Considering number two pellets are -40 a ton right now.
Right.
Our hauler doesn't even separate them anymore.
Yeah, so we're gonna probably end up holding them. So basically what will happen is usually recycling prices drop this time of year because everybody dumps everything on the market. And then things start trending back up in July and August. So that's probably when most of our recycling products are done is probably August, September.
What are we doing with this number?
I haven't heard from Ken.
It was discussed in that transfer station meeting last time, so.
Okay, so we're gonna have to pull this on off and close it because we're gonna.
Well, I mean, we decided last night in the meeting to cut that 1,800 away, so.
Do you wanna take that whole 18,000
Yeah.
right away?
That's what Kenny said. We should do.
Or take it right out of there.
Yeah. And like he said, in the full year, we may be able to go back, we won't know until we see what the recycling prices, if they come back.
Okay, so we're just going.
Sorry, back to the 180.
So the one.
Right.
754.
Yeah.
Okay.
But that'll come back and benefit us in the second half of the budget.
Right. But full year budget may come back to better,
Well, there's no sense giving it away if we can wait a little while.
Right. Alright, so 14. Changes on that one. 15. So that one. And then 16.
Lorna, where was the PERS money that we were gonna put back in?
Article 25, add an article.
Okay, all right. I'm like, we're through these and I didn't see it there. Okay. Okay.
16, good, 17.
Yeah, that's the dams. 17 is the dams.
Yep.
Yeah.
18 is debt service.
Don't change that.
And is 985 an annual cost?
98.95.
I mean, 98.95?
No, he'll have another 98.95 request. for
Okay,
you.
the next one,
Yeah.
okay. So that is a 6-month,
It is.
okay.
Would it be for 998 or would it be 18,000? I think it'd be 18,000 in June.
Right.
Or 19,000, whatever that.
It'll be the other
For the dams,
89.95.
Said 98.95.
I think it's gonna be twice that.
For the next one.
Yeah.
Because the next
So
one.
they
Oh, yes, I'll have to remind
Yeah,
him of
yeah,
that.
yeah, because
Yeah.
I think he's getting confused,
Yes.
thinking it's another 6
Yes,
months.
you're absolutely right, Drew. Yep, yep.
Okay. The road's on.
Okay, 19. Academic awards. Yeah. Fine. That should be. Pretty much what it needs to be. Okay, additional articles, 21. Correct.
22.
22. That looks correct.
Now, will this fine print be on the warrant
On
under
23,
23? Yeah,
yes,
the fine print is able to be.
yes, because it's in person.
It's a floor.
It's not
Oh,
big.
on the
not
floor.
super
I'm
fast.
sorry.
Shall it have them?
And that's the one we voted on at your regular meeting.
Yeah. Yeah. Alright, 4. And 4, and then 25 is the additional.
Yes, my suggested. To use that main FERS. And the Dalton, property special revenue fund.
Is that in the 25, is that in that printed packet here?
It is.
If we do this, it's gonna be a one-time.
Right, so I think this is what Carol wanted to say, that maybe we do a third of that,
Third,
a
So
third,
just split that.
yeah, a third, and give the rest on the full year. Right?
right,
That-
a third and 2/3, so we're
Right.
consistent.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So just over 50,000 each.
That way, we don't do this big.
We don't do the,
Food spikes.
Yeah.
the spike. Yeah,
What was it, 52?
52, 55, and 89.
that still helps.
Some of the $18,000 that we took away.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Transfer station, 18,000 we took away tonight.
right, yeah,
So,
Unfortunately.
yeah.
Well, what we wanted to see for numbers. So.
see them there.
Okay.
Yeah.
That was showing me those.
Okay. All right, now it looks like that's it, the guidance fee, come back and bring the budget committee back.
Yes, next week, yes, the 16th.
So next week will budget be here as well?
Yes,
Everyone will vote?
yeah.
Yes.
I have just two comments generally about this. I was hoping that the board would spend some time this week and at the next meeting, figuring out how the budget is gonna be presented, who's gonna be responsible for that presentation. And, you know, when that's gonna happen, if there are gonna be informational meetings. I think part of the reason that this misinformation has swirled is just because I think people, while a mailer may have worked in the past, I think people need to have it explained. And I would love to know whose responsibility that's gonna be, who's gonna stand up and present the budget. And also just offer if someone is gonna be doing that and they want help in any way, happy to pitch in and help with preparing a presentation or doing other things like that. But I just think that I'm very concerned that the budget may not pass. Even though everybody's worked very hard to do what I think is a pretty good budget, because people don't understand. And so figuring out a plan for that is almost as important at this point as getting the mailer out, I think.
Normally it's departments stand up and present their budgets, so. I would get the departments there for these informational meetings too.
Right.
They don't do that before their budgets.
Yeah, I mean, I think we only need to have one. I mean, I don't see that we have time and resources to have more than one informational meeting. Yeah, I mean, if it can be recorded, if it can be,
If not,
it can be zoomed and it can be recorded. I don't know that we can ask department heads to come to 3 different
And one is,
informational meetings.
I actually think one is fine if it's recorded and easily accessible. But I also think someone other than the department heads needs to set that information up and explain, like, this is our projected revenues. This is the expenses and how, you know, the department's heads will explain how we got there. This is where the money that we have in our account sits. This is what it's earmarked for. This is the money that we have, you know, in essentially our checking account. This is why it's this amount. You know, and like that framework gives the big picture rather than just like, give me this money, give me this money, give me this money.
Yep.
but it'll probably be set up the same way we do with town meetings. I mean, town manager will go over numbers, our bookkeeper, treasurer will be able to back it up with each call, and the department heads will present their budget and why they need it for each particular thing.
Yeah. But I think your point is a good one to
Yeah.
have, you know, kind of an
Big visual.
overarching framework first. And then go into the detail.
Yeah, I think more that we can explain, the better we're gonna be, you know, the better,
Right.
it's gonna be, make people more comfortable. I
Mhm.
mean, it's, you know, right now, people, like, we're all confused, and so aren't the taxpayers are confused on this 6-month budget, really confused everybody.
Well, there's a perception we have tons of little buckets of money everywhere, and we really don't have little buckets of money. So we need to have that in a format so that people
Correct.
can realize where we are.
Well, what's being put out is a 38% increase. So if it's not a 38% increase, you guys need to get explaining. It's not a 38% increase, and this is what it is. Because the word on the street is 38% is not gonna be enough.
361,000 of that, almost, well, it's more than one half of the increase is the first payment for the paving bond. For debt service.
But I think that you have to understand that, because the group thinks 38% is going to just the town. So, and if indeed it is a 38% increase, and that chunk of that is that, and if we're sucking up the rest the other way. Then I know nobody here wants to look at a decrease, but you better get decreasing. If instead of get decreased and we're all on the floor. Then what's gonna happen is they're gonna look at one of those long together budgets and say, I recommend 150 grand coming out of that budget. And if that gets passed, you're gonna figure out who's losing what. Just stuck it all together. So we could be in for a crap show in January, if we don't make sure that people understand. Why and how.
The information meeting is also an opportunity to do like a water test, like, let's see what the feeling is when people get information and if that changes anything.
We gotta figure out what this information means. You have some dates.
I think one of the dates, I just picked those because it was 2 weeks before town meeting and gave people a week after New Year's. So you just tell me and I'll put it on the calendar.
Tuesday, Wednesday, or Thursday, January 6, 7, or 8.
Do the 6th would be your regular board meeting.
I couldn't, didn't know when your select board meeting was, so.
You could do a light, cause you used, years ago, you guys used to switch around, you could do a light agenda and. And do that information meeting, or do the information meeting and do a light agenda after.
Yeah,
That's totally up to you
I
guys.
do the information meeting earlier.
Right.
To keep all these people out anyway.
Right, and then do your board meeting right after, immediately after. That's my suggestion, I mean, you guys, that's what you, that's what you do for a public meeting. Do it before a select board meeting, regular select board meeting. You just have a light agenda for your select board meeting.
And then once you decide, just so I can move after school program to Belgrade Central School. If you're gonna come in earlier than we would need to set up, so.
Earlier than what, I mean,
Well, it depends on how you want it set up, but we probably would just move them to Belgrade Central either way, whatever day, because.
We pick up until 5:30. We have until 5:30 to pick our next.
So we would need time for it. So.
because we wouldn't start the meeting before 6:30.
Try to shoot it for 6, so I mean, I just try to get out of work there early that day, just.
That's assuming you want to do it at the center and not here.
Yeah, I'd rather do it down the center.
Yeah.
And when we know we have the room, if the people show up.
Mhm.
They don't
And
show
especially
up.
now that we can zoom it.
We can try it.
We can try it out, see how it
Or the
goes.
sound.
Good trial.
So 6 o'clock on the 6th.
Works for me. Fine.
All right. Let's move on now. to other business.
I think Barbara has.
Oh, yeah, I had something for other business. There was mention, I think Lorna mentioned in the town manager's report, the last meeting, that we consider extending the committee board terms to 6/30/26. So I just think that that's an easy enough thing that we can just vote on that tonight to make that.
I think with that, I mean, we need to extend every term that we've got for any committees, boards.
Yeah, this is,
anything
yeah,
like that,
committee,
right?
committee and board terms.
Yeah, anything that needs to be extended.
Yeah,
So,
Any appointed or elected.
okay, so I move that we extend the terms of any appointed or elected officials to June 30th, 2026. Second, coincide with the change in fiscal year. Yeah. Second.
favor. Was it is.
Was easy.
You don't get, you still have to stay past March.
As always, the state says it happens anyway.
Okay.
So. Wow. Can people on? Warrant is warrant number 135. The warrant for $33,126.62.
Second.
Questions on that one?
Oh, which will make the motion.
I did.
Rather than my.
Yeah.
All in favor? 5-4, yes. Warrant number 136, payroll warrant for $30,984.22.
Move to approve.
Second.
Questions on that one? All in favor? 4 against. Warrant number 137. Warrant for $5,311.29.
Move to approve.
Second.
All those in favor? 5-0 against. Warrant number 138, payroll warrant for $27,322.61.
Move to approve.
Second.
Questions? All those in favor? 5-4 against. Warrant number 139 of the warrant for $123,670.80.
Move to approve.
Second.
Question now, still. Again, where? Is it somebody? See anything that's jumping right out at me. Anybody have anything?
Not I.
Good. All those in favor? 5-4, or against? For warrant 140. Warrant. The big one, $124,029.90.
That's the rest of the fire station.
Yeah, last payment for the Murphy property.
Oh, thank you. All right,
Questions? All those in favor?
I don't have a motion in a second.
Oh.
Oh, approve.
Second.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, in favor? 4, 0 against.
So there were two separate payments.
Right.
Right, of 124,000.
No, the other one was,
That was
125 something. It was 250 total.
Okay, because we have on the warrant 139, we have Diane Martin.
It was
124,029.
Yeah, it was minus, if you look on the signature sheet.
Okay, that's what that was.
Yes.
Okay,
Yeah.
sorry, yeah. Okay.
Separate one.
Yeah, we need to put that in, we could have blew our bellies.
All right, 141, $27,166.86.
Move to approve. Second.
Questions on that? Seeing none, all those in favor? 5, 4, 0 against. Last one, on the 142 on the payroll warrant, $23,831.72.
Move to approve.
Second.
All right, all those in favor? 5, 4, 0 against.
Attended leadership meetings to staff on December 2 and 4. Employee handbook review meeting December 4. The department head meeting December 5 with Lauren Baudet, MMA, giving a presentation on changes to health, dental, and other insurance products. Attended the holiday stroll on December 6th to welcome attendees to the annual tree lighting. The event was very well attended. Kudos to Facilities Maintenance Director Corey Alexander and his team for having the grounds ready, and to Kristen Dahl and Christine Folsom for their help in coordination of events. Met with RSU 18 Superintendent Andrew Carlton on November 21. He is scheduled to attend and meet the board at the regular meeting of January 20. The annual holiday luncheon for employees is scheduled for December 15. We already took care of closing the books. I've spoken with our snowplow contractor and we'll have an RFP out soon for contracted services October 2027 through 2030 with an option for a 2-year contract extension, but I think you already discussed that.
Did you explain to him why we were doing this like we asked?
Yeah, he was very excited.
Okay.
He was good to go.
I just want to make sure.
I really like him. He's a good.
I think they've done.
Seems pretty laid
They're
back.
doing a great job.
He was super. Yeah, yeah.
Lorna, is there a way that we can put into his contract something options to renew so we don't have to go through an RFP? Is that?
If you're going to do a 2-year extension, we could probably do something.
An option for 2 more years or
Option,
something?
yeah.
I mean, however we do it
Or
legally,
renew
which would just
annually
stay
or
with us.
every 2 years or whatever,
Yeah.
I
right?
think with waste management is. As long as they kept, the board decided that they didn't go up at a huge increase. So we just basically just signed another 3-year with 2 optional years. We didn't go out to RFP.
Well, I think wasn't part of our problem is the current contract didn't have that language in it.
Right.
So that we
Right.
make sure whatever we do
That's why I
allows
think
for
that
us
we
to not
should
have to
do
go
it.
through this again.
For us and
Right.
for both,
Yeah.
for the town and so.
Yeah.
We're still waiting on final updates, for the field use agreement for the Workman Field. We know that they've got some new officers in, so we'll be patient. We still have our notice, posted for the health officer position. We've posted notice about our emergency field assistance program with a link. That's on, I think it's under the town manager page on our website, but it's also under the general assistance page. To help people find that, we've been floating through Facebook as well. The Senior Resources Committee will have their holiday gathering at the North Belgrade Community Center this Saturday. in the afternoon, 1 to 3 p.m. There'll be some refreshments and a sing-along. And our website upgrade is scheduled to begin January 19th of 2026. So that's exciting.
It is exciting, but is that going to interfere with anybody getting access to information before our town meeting?
No, nothing changes until they're done.
Okay.
They're just starting the migration.
Okay.
Pulling stuff, yeah.
Lorna, I was just thinking, I'm the local health officer. Would it be worth checking, putting a notice out to a couple of the nursing schools around? There's UMA has one at Kaplan or something, that we might have people that are in the field about to graduate, that it might be
Or even the
a
health.
possibility. I mean, they don't have to be a nurse, but it might be you'd have someone who's interested in that field. There's, oh, this is another 500. What do we pay now?
It's
$600 a year, huh?
$100 a month.
$100 a month. It might. I just thought that might be a resource. So,
Good idea.
Gross sport.
So I guess I got a question, the official town Christmas tree, is that been lit up?
I've got Corey and Kristen working on lights for the tree down here at the ball field.
Okay.
Is that the one you're
That's
speaking?
what I'm talking.
Yes,
about.
yeah.
And how about the one in North Belgrade?
I don't know about the one in North Belgrade.
There's a tree up there too, but that's it, the voters voted the one working in field is the official. Christmas tree for the town, so they should be lit. Before, they should have been lit before that, or same day or before the one in the lakes.
Does the fire department come down and do like they do in the village?
I don't think we ever have there. We've always done.
That would be fun to do. Right?
look at what day is gonna be warmest next week. And get Bruce to bring the fire truck.
You have an update on the skating rink, when that's gonna.
They're having delays getting all of the parts and pieces, so we did.
All this hot weather.
I know, we talked about, Kristen's been on the horn with them, I think that they actually shipped out. We talked about, Corey and I talked about this last week, I think they shipped out within a day or so of her phone call. So I expect we should have somebody pretty quickly, because they're still planning that we may be able to have this up and running for school vacation.
Oh, that would
That's
be
still the
great.
plan.
That would be great.
Nice. And I have just a general question. I was just thinking of this as we had the tax, the warrant article discussion. The Belgrade Taxpayers Group on Facebook. I mean, I just have a general policy of not responding to things on social media because I feel that it can just too easily get misconstrued. But I mean, I just wanted to kind of sound you out on that because, Jillian, because it just seems like, I don't know, I mean, should, if people are saying, if the word on the street is that taxes are going up by 38% or whatever it is, should somebody from they should post that information on the thing. On the group to make sure people are aware of it.
It would be nice if somebody would highlight it, if somebody makes these outrageous posts, because I don't get it, I don't read it. If somebody says something that looks like it's off the wall, somebody could post, please contact the town office for accurate information. Just something like that, instead of responding on that. But just
I don't think
kind
you
of
can
direct
respond one-on-one, I think.
Yeah, but I think we need to get out, on that group, somebody should gonna post on that group that we're having an informational meeting.
Yeah.
On the 6th, and.
And here's the
maybe
link
put-
to the budget on the website.
Right, and then the other thing is maybe somebody put a post, if you have questions about it, contact the town office and get in contact with the town manager and, make an appointment for a sit down.
On a Wednesday. You're happy to meet with people anytime.
I mean, I mean, I know it's a lot more on Lon's plate, but I mean, I mean, that's what people are looking for, is some people looking to, hey, give us an invitation, we'll come and sit down with you and have a talk.
And just out of curiosity, the numbers you put out there, $4.50. That didn't make a whole lot of sense to me, what you put out the other day on the
Yeah,
package.
it's actually, yeah, I think it will actually be, well,
Well,
it'll
just
be-
the way you wrote it out, you went $4.50, and that's per thousand, not 100,000. Cause you got $450 for 100,000. So
I didn't, yeah.
something
I didn't-
isn't right there.
You have a
Yeah,
decimal off.
I didn't put that right, that's my fault.
So,
So $4.50 per $1,000 of value.
right,
So for 100,000.
$450, but that's not the way you wrote it out.
Yes, you are correct.
And now is that what they're talking about, an increase, or that's what it's actually gonna be for the year for the valuation?
That would be that 6-month budget.
But
So that's what your tax bill
it's
for
gonna be
April.
$450 per $100,000. That what your tax bill is gonna be,
Yes,
okay?
If this
Because
budget, if the
if that
budget
yes,
passes.
yes.
But the way you wrote it out, it kind of looked like that was gonna be the increase
No,
of the budget, so I just
No.
want to make sure.
no. So our current, what's our current mill rate, 950? 950, 960. So it-
9.6, 9.6,
Nine-
one,
I
it's
said that
an
looked like
odd
that.
number.
But it will, so it's less than half. Of what, if you figure a 12-month budget, right?
Yeah.
It's less than 1/2 of that for this 6-month period, which is good and bad because you're doing this.
You're doing that,
Yeah,
which I hate that.
which we don't wanna do, but we can't tax out more than what we have
Right.
for.
You're really not doing this, you're taking 6 months,
Well,
the bill rate's gonna show.
And the
it's gonna
first 6
show
months
that,
is
but it's gonna be,
as far
Right.
as expenses,
it's gonna be a 6-month bill.
Right.
So-
Right.
we can't help.
right,
Because
the
you don't
only
have-
bill that's really big for the first 6 months is heating and snowplow. That's
Heating
it,
and what?
heating and snowplow
Plowing.
It's cool.
and school,
It's cool.
actually, free, this county's already paid out, right, correct? Right?
The county is September 1.
Yeah,
So that will be the June.
next
Right,
budget.
so they're already paid out, so we don't have that payment the first 6 months. But you'll have the school monthly. And
We have our first paving bond
Yeah, the paving.
payment, which is
Yeah.
361,000, which is more than 1/2 of the increase for the budget. So there's no way around that.
Yeah, it's not huge. And then, and I think what confuses, we may say our budget, our little 13 or 14 million is gonna go up 5%. People are thinking the whole budget is going up 5%, right? And the whole budget may go up smaller amount. But
Okay. All right, and I saw the handbook, you handed this out, but are we missing something out of this?
No,
Because-
that is it's not the full handbook, but it's a good chunk of it that we have met and met and met.
Right.
And have suggestions for changes, updates for the board to look at. We think those are fairly easy for you to
And
go.
how about the rest of the chunk of it?
We are still working on that. Yep,
Because
we're still.
the chunk I'm looking at, is
I know.
gonna be buying out this location and.
We're still continuing.
That
to
that
make
turns out to
some-
be very complicated.
Yeah, more than
We
what.
did the easy part.
Okay.
We did, and
Because-
anything, and in that packet, like that includes the whole harassment and
Right,
bullying.
I saw, and I saw. it.
And, you know, so there's a big chunk that doesn't have any changes in it, because that's so new.
Yeah, no, I understand that.
Well, is it possible I get a copy of that, what you guys got accomplished so far?
Should be, yeah, should be able to. I mean, it's public
It's
information.
public information at this point.
I was gonna ask for the whole employee handbook out of curiosity,
No,
but it's,
it's like, it's so archaic, it's
Yeah.
so outdated. That's why we're trying to get it updated.
so yeah, if it's
Really,
it's
really archaic.
Yeah, I mean, it's still public information, because if you printed it, it's public information, so I'll prove for it, so it's copy, it's a copy. I mean, it's just, right now, it's just a draft, so.
Right, exactly.
I don't know if I have mine here, but I do even have mine.
I can get.
Oh, I have one here.
In the office tomorrow.
Here, I have one.
Do you, oh, I have one. Bruce, take this one. Jillian could have yours,
Okay.
Barbara.
What's on the back of that?
Oh,
Yeah, make sure there's nothing we need.
Like I said, I don't.
my flyers,
Back of mine.
my flyers. There
Thank
you
you.
go. You're welcome.
Thank you. Right.
I'm gonna leave my book here, Mona.
Okay, yeah, I'll put it back out in the meeting.
Oh, proper law experts already.
Oh, goodness. Here, sorry. I was looking for a big clip. It was just a staple. That
already.
threw me off.
Can I make a motion?
We done?
Anything else we need to?
Yep. It's all
I move we adjourn the meeting 9:21.
done. Thank God.
Second that.
Those in favor?
Oh. Now we just have to sign our lives.
That's 3.